Dear friends, hello. I'm very happy to welcome you to mini summit of Hidden Hero. We will talk today about how to go global. Our world is a very small planet and we feel now that we are all connected. How to go global. And our first speaker is the speaker who knows really everything. In my mind, he's one of the wisest people whom I met. This is new age philosopher. This is self-management expert. And this is a person with 20 years study of ancient wisdom. He did around 7,500 lectures all around the world. Mr. Sridharan, hello, happy to see you.
Good to see you, Olga. Lovely to meet up with you again.
Thank you so much. The topic for Mr. Sridharan today is, of course, go global is for all our experts. The topic is how to go global. But the particular topic for Sridharan is how to put and reach your goals in a turbulent times. Because maybe you think that the time is so unpredictable that there are no goals anymore. So let's listen to that lecture. And after that, we will ask the questions to Mr. Sridharan.
Thank you, Olga, for the opportunity. How do you get your goals in turbulent times? And let me tell you, there will be times which are turbulent, or not all times is going to be rosy in our lives. But these are times which is much more difficult than what anyone can expect of. But few aspects, even to deal with our life in turbulent times, is I'm trying to recollect what my master asked me when I was 25 years old, 24, 25. I remember he asked me, do you want to be just another 25-year-old, or you want to be that 25-year-old which every other 25-year-old will look up to? I remember when I was 25, he asked me, do you want to be just another 25-year-old, or you want to be that 25-year-old which every other 25-year-old will look up to? And that got me thinking. I said, I don't want to be just another 25-year-old. I want to be that 25-year-old which every other 25-year-old will look up to. And I mean, that started the process of setting a goal, setting an ideal. And as a result, all that I'm saying is now it's almost 25 years hence. And I can proudly say that I'm either I could be that 49-year-old which every other 49-year-old will look up. So it is, see, the thing is, you need to have the drive in you. What are you working for? One is a goal, and one is this pandemic, the challenging situation. But this is what drives you, the goal, the ambition. That's why fix an ideal, a goal which is beyond your self-centered interest, like what you're doing. What you're doing is to try to help the community, not just one section of people. And it is on technology, and it will be there. A lot of people will get benefited. Turbulent times, they say tough times don't last, tough people do. They say no, tough times don't last, tough people do. Therefore, number one, let us be, you look 25-year-old, Olga. It is, it should be that 25-year-old which every other 25-year-old look up to. I'm genuinely aging.
I wish, really. Thank you so much. I wish. No, I just want to write that tough times will end.
Don't last. Tough people do.
Last.
Tough people do. It is in that way, and I'm saying that's the number one. Let us not be a typical 30-year-old or a 35-year-old or a 40-year-old. Let us be that 30-year-old or 40-year-old which every other 30-year-old will look up to, and understand tough times don't last, but tough people do. Eventually, that resilience should come in, and that's why I say, early in life, set a higher ideal, and then pursue your nature. Each one of us have a distinct nature. You wanna work till the last day of your life. You wanna have a goal which is progressive till the last day of your life. My master used to say, you should die with your boots on. Till the last day of your life, you work not for just making money, but to enjoy your work. absolutely enjoy your work. Right now, I'm standing here using technology, talking to you. I'm absolutely enjoying this experience. That is what the Vedas, the yogis highlighted as Swadharma. Swa means one's own, dharma means nature. Each one should take up an activity in line with their nature. In line with their nature, like one of your passion is film. Making films,
Yeah.
that's your nature. And each one of us, that's what you're doing is also more of communications. So each one should take up an activity in line with their nature, what we call as swadharma. It's like Djokovic taking up to tennis, or Beyonce taking up to music. So it is each one should take up an activity in line with our nature. Number two, you should subordinate your likes and dislikes to the goal you've set. You should subordinate your likes. So you may like doing certain things and you may dislike certain things. Imagine it could be there could be a tennis player or soccer player. Right now, it's pandemic happening, the challenging situations. They cannot just lie down. They may have to do their own exercises. They may have to think. They may. Why I'm telling you is what you like to do may not be what you ought to do. It is or in simple terms, what you ought to do is what is necessary. Sometimes we follow our likes and dislikes, which may not be right at times. We may like to laze in bed, but that's not what ought you do. You have to wake up. You got to get your exercises, the right kind of food. So they say that if you should subordinate your likes and dislikes to the purpose of your goal. Number one, don't be just another 25-year-old. Be that 25-year-old which every other 25-year-old will look up to. Number two, understand tough times don't last, but tough people do. And how do tough people last? They follow their nature, their swadharma. They subordinate their likes and dislikes to the purpose of their goal. It is so. Otherwise, what most people do, they subordinate their goal to their likes and dislikes. I don't feel like studying, or I don't feel like going and exercising, or they subordinate their goal to their likes and dislikes, or they say, I like to party 5 nights a week. Why I'm telling you is that there is a beautiful saying that I've shared this many a times: true happiness and false happiness. If you want to enjoy true happiness, they say, is like poison in the beginning, but nectar in the end. True happiness is like poison in the beginning, but nectar in the end. False happiness is nectar in the beginning, poison in the end. Those who are experiencing poison now, especially at work, when I say could be insecurity at work or any other aspect, let me tell you, friends, one aspect, it may not be their passion. It may not be they may have taken up to a work because it gives them X amount of money. The income is more a driver for their work rather than the passion driving them to work. So that's why I'm saying one aspect is Shakespeare's words. It says, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. It must follow as night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Be true to yourself. Follow your conviction, which is a very strong thought. This is what I want to do. You don't mean others need to suggest that. You know very well, this is what I want to do. That conviction, if your conviction is not strong enough, follow your conscience, that inner voice. Something within you tells you, hey, go ahead and do it. Or there is a job available, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be working in the bank. I want to be an artist, or I want to be a musician. You have to. That inner voice in us. There's an inner voice in us, conviction and conscience. That's why I say, when you're able to follow that, then you're able to subordinate your likes and dislikes to the purpose of your goal. Purpose of your goal. So when you're able to do that, this aspect which is Swadharma, is your natural talent, God given natural talent. First, that's why I say pursue it. What I'm pursuing it is my nature. My interest is to study this spiritual wisdom and communicate this knowledge to one and all, how it is practically applicable in their daily life. You could be in Russia, you could be in Spain, you could be in Australia, you could be in South Korea, you could be in India, you could be in Jordan. How can we apply these value systems in our life? As a result, we are able to deal with our life in a better way. As a result, it could be challenging times, but we're able to handle our life well. So that is why I'm saying number one, pursue your nature. I'm telling you, they say that choose a job you love in your life. Choose a job you, if you are able to take up something which is absolutely you love, it's a different life altogether. Challenging times, but you will be even become better in that field of activity, because that's your nature. So that is what I would say. Number one is that, then that is your talent, and then follow it up with what we call as the 3 C's to success: concentration, consistency, and cooperative endeavor. Concentration. See, this could be challenging times, but can we concentrate on our own thought process? It is, there are many people who don't seem to have concentration, and I've known many people who say, I want to concentrate, but I'm finding it very difficult because the mind goes everywhere. Right now, the person could be sitting and watching this this lecture online on Facebook, but they are there watching the screen, but the mind is somewhere else. It has gone to it can either goes to the future anxieties or the past worries. So they're never in the present moment. So all that I'm saying is success is an effect, progress is an effect, right action is a cause. And one of the important ingredient of right action is concentration. And let me tell you, friends, you are concentrating when your intellect directs your mind to the present action without allowing the mind to go into the past or the future, past worries or the future anxieties. Then you're concentrating. Many people are finding it difficult because their mind is too strong. Their mind is very strong. The mind goes helter skelter. It goes everywhere except in the present moment. Except in the present moment. So concentration is possible provided your intellect is strong enough to direct your mind to the present action without allowing the mind to go into the past worries or the future anxieties. Then you are concentrating. In fact, if you're able to do that, then you gravitate to meditation, which is a very high level of concentration. But we need general concentration for success. In challenging times, in turbulent times, the mind is going everywhere, the past worries or the future anxieties. It is never in the present. Therefore, your mind is agitated. Then you can't be true to yourself. Only when your mind is calm, your conscience is available, the inner voice is available. The mind is agitated, your own inner voice is not available. Therefore, you make certain statements. Why we regret certain actions in our life? There are people who do certain things and then they regret, I shouldn't have done that. Why? Why would nobody else is telling you yourself, tell yourself that why did you do it? That's not you. Because your intellect, your thinking is available much after the action, not while performing the action or before the action. That's why regrets happen. That's why regrets happen. And then there are various regrets, Olga. One of the major regrets is they say, I wish I lived a life according to my terms. I mean, I wish I lived up to my expectations, not always servicing the expectation of others. One of the regrets of people in the last stages of their life. I wish I lived a life according to my expectations, not always servicing the expectations of others. That's why it's very interesting to know. Another aspect, I said, major regret. Why I'm telling you much later on. I wish I allowed myself to be more happier. And if only anybody goes through that regret, I wish I allowed myself to be more happier. I'm telling you, you are in deep trouble. There are so many aspects of our life which went well. Why should we regret? Right now, in retrospect, when you reflect on it, just going to a cafe, having a nice coffee, and just hanging out with your friends is a great opportunity, a great experience. I wish I allowed myself to be more happier. It's a very interesting, that's why thought process I'm saying, it may be difficult times. A lot of people are going through turbulent times. But let me tell you, at this point of time, you're able to use your mind and intellect properly. I'm telling you, you are a legend in the making. You're a legend in the making. That's why concentration falters if your mind is too strong. And the mind is too strong, you will give in to regrets. You will give in to regrets. They say there's another great regret people go through. They said, I wish I hadn't worked so hard in my life. I wish I hadn't worked so hard in my life. Right now, you gave your life for an organization. Now, cost cutting, they have taken you off. I'm not saying don't work hard, but I wish I hadn't worked so hard in life. Maybe I should have developed some of my hobbies. Maybe writing or singing or some aspect I should have developed. Maybe it would have helped me more. I wish I hadn't worked so hard in my life. It is because you could have worked for 35 years, 40 years in an organization. Once you come out of it, within a week, you can be replaced. You may say that I gave my life to this organization. You should give your life to the organization. Nothing wrong. But understand, you could be replaced within a week. All that you did 30 years can be replaced within a week. So all that I'm saying is nobody is indispensable. So watch out. Watch out. Nobody is indispensable. Develop other aspects of your life. That's why those who are suffering now, friends, in this pandemic times, are those who have defined their life with just one role. They just one role, either the work or the business. They just define their life with just one role. That is what the difficulty is. Because if you define your life with just that one role, you minus that role looks absolutely faulty. You minus that role will look faulty, or it looks empty. You define yourself with one role. Could be the role of a CEO, or of a director, or of a sales manager, and you minus that role, your life looks empty. So watch out. So number one, concentration. And what prevents your mind from concentration? What prevents concentration is a very strong mind. Number two is consistency. Consistency is the name of the game. I always say, talent takes you up to a point. It's character which keeps you there. Talent takes you up to a point in your life. With talent, you can raise up to a point. It's character which keeps you there. Character is developed by concentration, high value systems, and consistency. To be consistent, you need to have high value systems. You need to have that resilience. Not every time your effort you put in will work out well. You got to keep trying. I wish in all the soccer games, hitting the goal in the goal post, if it is so easy, game wouldn't be that interesting. You are taking the ball, and there are at least 10 fellows trying to defend it, and eventually you'll get the goal, the ball past all these guys. Therefore, all this happens with consistency. Consistency is the name of the game. The more and more you do it, that's why they say the more consistent you are, the more luckier you become. He says, there's a beautiful quotation. I'm a great believer in luck. The harder I work, the luckier I become. I'm a great believer in luck. He says, I love that statement. I'm a great believer in luck. The harder I work, the luckier I become. So consistency, the second aspect, is so essential, Olga. Consistency. You may have less talent, but if you're consistent, you raise the talent. You may have great talent, but you are less consistent. You're less consistent. The talent fades away. The talent.
Mr. Sridharan, I know I'm not allowed, or our plan was not to interrupt, but really I want to add something very small, because it goes very well with this consistency and talent. You know, once upon a time in Russia, we have a very talented, extremely talented tennis player. His name is Marat Safin, very talented. And a lot of experts, they said that by his talent, he can be a Sampras and some other, but inconsistent. And we see now Roger Federer. He's already not very young. He's, I think, one of the young, but he's so consistent to be able to repeat the same thing many times. And I understand to repeat the same thing, sometimes it's very boring, but it's consistency.
It is, the consistency is the name of the game. In the yogic philosophy, in a text called the Bhagavad Gita, a whole chapter is dedicated to consistency. When towards the end of it, they say on perfection, it says the whole chapter, they emphasize on effort, self-effort and consistency. So that's why I say, see, to be consistent, you've got to be inspired. And the more inspired you are, the better consistent you become. And inspiration and consistency, and let me tell you, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. I think there was Babe Ruth, a great baseball player, says, you cannot beat a person who never gives up on himself. So, inspiration and consistency does wonders to you. You would raise the quality of your game, your own proficiency. The third aspect is cooperation. Cooperation is you are a part of a team. You could be at home, it could be a home environment or work. It is how well you deal with your ego and others' ego determines how well you deal in life. You may have great talent, but with ego, you will destroy it. You will destroy your own life. We always say, most people, instead of sacrificing their ego and saving relationships, many people are sacrificing relationships and saving their ego. They're sacrificing relationships and saving their ego. There was a study done in Fortune 500 companies, and they said 95% of people who quit jobs, they don't quit jobs, they quit people, they say. People quit people. There are only 5% of people who quit jobs on value propositions. 95% of people who quit jobs, they don't quit jobs, they quit people. People quit people. They bring their ego, they get their ego involved with somebody, either the boss or the colleagues or somebody, and then in the spectacle of ego, everything looks faulty. Everything looks faulty. That's why I say, when ego comes, everything else goes. When ego goes, everything else comes. So there's I don't know, I shared this story many a time. There was this bird flying high in the skies. It had a piece of meat in between its beak. A lot of other birds were following this particular bird. And this bird was so elated. See, so many birds are following me. So many birds are following me. And it felt so egoistic. So many birds are following me. And suddenly the wisdom dawned on its mind. It says, all these birds are not following me, but they're following the piece of meat in between my beak. The moment it understood that, it opened its beak and dropped that piece of meat. When the piece of meat was going towards the ground, all the birds which was following this particular bird started following the piece of meat which was falling on the ground. And at that instant, that bird, looking up and told to itself, in dropping the piece of meat, the entire sky became mine, said the bird. In dropping the piece of meat, the entire sky became mine. Friends, in dropping the piece of meat called ego, entire peace becomes yours. Entire peace becomes yours. In dropping the piece of meat, most people suffer because they can't deal with their ego. They can't deal with others' ego. So the cooperation you're able to be cooperative with others because you're able to deal with your ego. And I always say the ego, we have a definition for the word ego, E-G-O, is exaggerated glorification of oneself. E, exaggerated, G, glorification, O, for oneself. Exaggerated glorification of oneself. Those who are suffering now in these turbulent times are those whose ego is hurt. What will others think of me? They thought I'm in a good position. What will they think of me now? So they're all going through this ego hurt. They had developed the ego because of a position, because of the possessions they had, because of people who are surrounding them. Now, position is going away, possessions are being taken away, and the people are also not there with them. Therefore, they fall like a hot potato. That's why I say, who controls you? Who controls you? Possessions, position, and people. If these are the three P's who controls you, possession, position, and people, you're in trouble. So, to be successful even in turbulent times, pursue your passion, your nature, and number two, have this concentration. Subordinate your likes and dislikes to the goal you have set. Develop this consistency. And third aspect is this cooperative endeavor or lack of ego. Lack of ego. And if these three factors are there, along with another important factor called faith. Faith is such an important element in our life. Faith is something you cannot explain, but you feel that. That's why you should have faith in the job you have taken up, in the business you have taken up, that it will do well, and you should have faith in the process. Faith is something you cannot prove. Faith is a belief in a thing which you do not know until you come to know what you believe in. When I took up to this path of spiritual wisdom, it was a belief that it will work out well. But now, 25 years hence, it's not a belief, it is a faith. It's a belief in a thing which you do not know until you come to know what you believe in. Now it is no more a belief, it's a becoming. And there is a great poet, Rabindranath Tagore, made a fabulous statement. He said, faith is like a bird which feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. Faith, they say, before the sun rises, there are birds which are there, starts singing, so sure that the sun will rise. And he says faith is like that. Faith is a bird which feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. So faith in the business, in the work you have taken up, in that, and the faith in the process you have got into, the process, and faith in divinity, the Almighty, that He will help us, He will support us. It is faith in the Almighty, that these three factors I'm saying, that is your talent, your swadharma, your effort, plus faith. Three factors, if it is intact in us, friend Olga, that talent, which is your swadharma nature, and then effort, concentration, consistency, cooperative endeavor. That is the effort. And third is the faith. Faith in the work you have taken up, faith in the process you have employed, process you are going through, and faith in divinity. If you have these three factors intact, I'm telling you, it is turbulent times, but you will come out in a better way. You will come out in a better way. And let me tell you, you will progress even more. In fact, my work has got much more now in this turbulent times than in good times. The people from all over the world are seeking guidance, and they're seeking support and advice in dealing with various aspects of their life. So I'm telling you, this is, for me, it is interesting times, and I'm more than happy in being of service and support to people. So,
Mr. Sridharan, tell me please, and are you surprised? You didn't expect that in these times your work, your lectures, they will be of more importance. You didn't think about that 10 years ago, 5 years ago. In a way, it's like a surprise for you, or you were dreaming about it.
I don't expect pandemics or turbulent times, but my faith in this knowledge is so strong that it will benefit everyone and at any time. So that faith was very strong that this will help everybody. But at this time, this extent, that is a surprise for me. That is a surprise for me that people from all walks of life, all nationalities, needing this knowledge of what is this, to control your mind, to develop your thinking, to have pure emotions, to enjoy work, to relish your relationships, to safeguard your material wealth, to have a perfect physical health. This is irrespective of a caste or a faith or a religion. Everybody needs this. So that's why what we are discussing is value system, Olga, value systems. And so, in a way, I'm surprised. If you ask me, I'm pleasantly surprised. But I know that this will work well. This is, I mean, that's the conviction I have in the path I've taken up. Anyone, it's like what we discuss is like oxygen. Everybody needs it. Everybody wants to live life well. Everybody wants to enjoy life. So this is a knowledge which will help them immensely.
Great. Great.
So it is.
Mr.
That's why.
Sridharan, you want me to start asking the questions from the audience, or you want to add something before finishing your lecture?
See, I would like to add a few aspects to it, which is essential. Two qualities let us develop at this point of time is gratitude and forgiveness. Gratitude. It could be challenging times, but let's develop this sense. Let us have this gratitude, because everybody says you should be grateful, and there are people who complain people are not that grateful now. And all that I'm saying is gratitude is an essential quality. It is how do you develop gratitude? Everybody knows you have to be grateful, but how do you develop gratitude? Number one, become aware of various aspects you've been provided from the time you're born till the time you're there, till the time you're going to be there. See, we may talk about COVID, we may talk about the pandemic. Let me tell you, friends, oxygen is provided from the day you're born. In fact, oxygen is in such a prime commodity now. The ventilators, what does the ventilators provide? Oxygen. We've been breathing oxygen from the time you've been born until the time you're going to be there. Oxygen is provided from the time we are born. Atmospheric pressure is maintained. The blood flows just to say, there I can see Olga, a million operation takes place in the retina. And so many factors are happening internally, externally. And that's why now, at this point of time, 1 degree above 98.4, we are in trouble. I'm just telling you, 1 degree. So much is happening to keep our temperature. And so I'm saying technology is there. Gratitude is to become aware of all the provisions we've been receiving from the time we've been born till the time we're going to be here in this world. That is number one. Number two, your inability to repay that benevolence. Like, I always have great respect for mothers. It is you bear a child 9 months, and then it is you bring the child to the world. Any amount of a gift a son gives to the mother can never equal her gift to the child, which is life. So if a child has enormous gratitude towards the mother, to the parents, they're better off. So any amount of gift to your parents is not equal to their gift to you, which is life. So gratitude should be the underlying emotion in us, even in turbulent times. Let me tell you, where there is gratitude, there is no disturbance. And let me tell you, where there is disturbance, there is a lack of gratitude. Gratitude and disturbance don't go together. Gratitude and disturbance can never be together. Therefore, even in this time, that's why I say, what can I be grateful of? Think of it. You want to be instantly happy? Identify an avenue where you can be grateful. You will be happy. You'll be, I am grateful because of, you try and identify avenues. Number one, that's why I say 2 qualities which we should develop: gratitude. Number 2 is forgiveness. Forgiveness. At times, people find it difficult to forgive others, and they find it very difficult to forgive themselves. Let me tell you, when they let go of the guilt you have created, you can forgive yourself. When you let go of the guilt, you have done something wrong, and then you can't let go of your guilt. You can't let go of the guilt. Why did I do it? Let go of the guilt. You'll be able to forgive yourself. Let go of the hatred towards others. You'll be able to forgive others. It is if you can't have hatred to others and then try to forgive others. I'm trying to forgive this person for 5 years. I'm finding it very difficult. You can't forgive. When you let go of the hatred towards others, you can forgive others. Right now, people may be going through difficult times. You may see the true colors of certain people. Forgive them. Let go of the hatred towards them. I'm not saying it's easy. They say forgiveness is to set the prisoner free and to finally understand that the prisoner was none other than yourself. Forgiveness is to set the prisoner free and to finally understand that the prisoner was none other than yourself. So who are you setting yourself? Who are you setting free? Yourself. And forgiveness is the most beautiful quality. At this point of time, I'm saying gratitude and forgiveness, if you're able to develop, you're a different individual altogether. And you will be very peaceful. Difficult times, along with that, you're following your passion. There is a sense of consistency. You're able to deal with your ego well. You're able to concentrate. I'm telling you, eventually things will turn. When things will turn well for the good, you're so well prepared, things will happen in your way. If you have not handled your mind properly, when things are turning better for you, you will not be in a position to raise yourself, because so much of agitations you have collected. It will work against you. So watch out. Turbulent. That's why the way I started, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And we should last.
Definitely, we should last. We want to last. Thank you so much, Sridharan, Mr.
Yes.
Shireen. I would like to ask a few questions.
Right.
And number one, before I start asking these questions, I want to know about your mentor, about your teacher. I know that you have a master, and
Right.
he's much older than you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My master, he's 93 years old now, and I met him 25 years ago, and my life changed ever since. It is a person who made me understand spirituality in a logical way. He made me understand that life can be led peacefully. You can be very productive and prosperous. You can have a peaceful life. So you can play all your roles well. You don't most people seem to be very successful but miserable in their personal lives. Or they could be in a small town being relatively peaceful, but they are not that successful. So he helped me to understand this elusive combination of being successful and peaceful. And you could be in the spiritual path and be very and help others as well. So 93 years he starts as an educational institution called Vedanta Academy near Mumbai in India, where he trains youngsters on a 3-year full-time residential course, where our day starts at 4 a.m. in the morning, goes till 9 p.m., 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 3 full years. No weekends, no vacations, no newspapers, no social media, no mobiles. So I was there for 5 years. And that was the most defining part of my life. So my gratitude to this great master and the great masters who have supported me. So it's in education is English. Anyone who's between the age group of 16 to 30, they are welcome to come to join the academy, learn and improve themselves. It's a beautiful place. Students from all over the world study there. We have quite a few Russians as well and Ukrainians who have studied in that place. So
so you were also studying there 3 years without mobile, without newspapers, without telephone, without social media, from
right.
from 4 o'clock in the morning till late in the evening.
I mean, it's a full schedule. There's lectures, there is community work, there is healthy food, there is devotional music, there is yoga, there is everything all put together. So you are occupied and you are in the right way occupied.
But for these 3 years, you changed as a person.
Yes, what you change is your inner personality, your mind and intellect changes. In fact, your outlook towards life changes, your attitude towards life changes. Let me define attitude, Olga. Attitude is something without changing anything externally, with a slight change in the way you think and feel, everything about the world changes. You have not changed anything in the world, but the way you think and feel has changed, improved, have become spiritually matured. As a result, I would say the world, the life looks beautiful. So that's what happens in that place. That's what intent effect there.
So for now, if to say in a very roughly, very simple words, you're not afraid of anything.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not afraid of anything, but I am courageous enough to face it. That's why let it put across. I'm more courageous, and let me define courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face challenges of life in spite of fear. I mean, it's not blind courage. I'm courageous enough. And again, it's not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face challenges of life, difficulties of life, in spite of fear. So it is. There might be fear, but so courage is far greater than fear. So I'll deal with it.
Great. Yeah, you have an inner peace and such a spirit that always comes down. You know, when I listen to your lectures, you make inner peace. And if you have inner peace, it's much easier to face any challenge because you are peaceful inside. You're not afraid. You don't have panic. You're not excited that much. You have inner peace, and from inner peace, it's easier to connect with any challenge.
Absolutely.
So our questions are,
yes.
Let's say our first question, and I think honestly that you answered it partially in some way, but the question was, if everything is changing so quickly and we don't know what will be tomorrow, how we can put any goals? A person will say, okay, I want to travel to France, but the borders are closed. You will say, I want my child go to the best university, but universities are closed. So the question was, if everything is changing,
right,
how can I put goals?
See, it is changing. You also have to adapt with the changing times. It is a non-acceptance of certain changes creates all the problems. If you want to go to France, you can't go now. You may go in maybe next year. It's not that you not going there is a problem. Non-acceptance of that experience is a problem. Right now, I want to be there. I can't be there. All that I'm saying is eventually it will change. It is even the university a person wants to go. So that doesn't mean you should not have goals. Use your intellect and utilize how can I work in certain way in the present scenario. It is like I would love to go to Europe and had a retreat, but I can't go. But what can I do by being here and helping people? It is I'm more a person who thrives on meeting people, having conversation. You know that better. We have met many times, and so I can make an impact. But I can say, look here, and I'm upset. I can't go to Europe for my retreats. I can't go to United States for the live lectures. You know, it's terrible. Now, I will do my best in utilizing this present scenario. I will not allow my mind to take over. I will use the intellect and utilize this opportunity. Therefore, standing here, I can impact far more people than being in a particular venue for 50 people. But we can impact many more now. So it is develop acceptance. Non-acceptance will make your life hell. Develop acceptance. Use your intellect. Develop your acceptance, and then find your ways. Even it could be that I've known some people, they are not able to go to that particular university. Now they are doing 2 more courses. Along with the online course, they have taken up to 2 more courses. Maybe in a year or year and a half's time, they are able to do more than what they thought of.
Okay, so the answer is acceptance. Accept the situation, accept, then it will be easier to face it.
Correct. With what happens with acceptance, the mind becomes calm. If the mind is not agitated, mind is not rebelling, mind becomes calm. Then your intellect is available. So what can I do? I can't go to the university, but there are online courses from that university. And then there is an extra time, and I do 1 more course which will help me to improve my skill set. Now, maybe in that period of time, I have become a much more skilled person. Yeah, acceptance.
Acceptance. The question number 2 is about what to do if the person doesn't have any power. He feels that he loses because of the news, because of the situation, because of the social media. Like before he was 100%, now he's 0%. There is no power at all. He cannot stand up from his bed. What to do in this situation?
Which means they are so dependent on the world for gaining some control. They're so dependent on the world, which will mean you'll fluctuate a lot. You derived power from external sources. And all that I'm saying is, you have allowed external factors to dictate how you conduct your life. So I can understand, there are challenging times. You could be in the airline industry. Now it's not, the flights are not, there are not many flights flying. So you could be in that, but that doesn't mean that you should become weak. All that I'm saying is, this is, we have made ourselves dependent on factors over which we have no control. It is, all that I'm saying is, your mind and intellect is way superior than all these aspects. And if you're working on your mind and intellect, you'll be better off. John Milton's words: your mind in its own place can make a hell out of a heaven, or a heaven out of a hell. Your mind can make a hell out of a heaven, or a heaven out of a hell. Arthur Schopenhauer, a great German philosopher, says it is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but impossible to find it anywhere else. It's difficult to find happiness within oneself, but impossible to find it anywhere else. All their life, they're trying to find happiness everywhere else. Flying, going there, doing this, doing that. Now you can't do anything. Right now, I feel powerless. I feel powerless. Understand, you have been functioning in an unintelligent way. Bring in the intellect, bring in some clarity in thinking, and start working on yourself. It is a question of time. It's a question of time. You will identify your interest, your nature, and then even in these turbulent times, there will be avenues to improve yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I understand. Our next question is, I have too many responsibilities: my husband, my family, my kids, and I don't have any time to put my own goals. And I think you also mentioned at the beginning that you can serve all other people, and you, before dying, some people regret that they were serving and they were fulfilling expectations of others. And this is the question, like a person said, I'm so busy with the responsibilities, I don't have time to put my goals.
Correct. That's why, this is, one is in very simple terms, it is not giving priority to yourself. I can understand at times, the others take the priority, but it is, it's like, I've known people, they say, I'd love to go for yoga or go for a morning walk, but where is the time? Morning onwards, there's telephone calls, there's meetings, but after a mild heart attack, a mild stroke or something, you'll find that person every day exercising in the morning. And you say, what happened? Health is very important. They find the time because their health has become a priority. Similarly, friends, your mental health must be a priority. Must be a priority. You can't say that I don't have time. The role of a husband, or of a mother, or of a daughter, or of an employee, or a friend takes away all my time. I don't have time for myself. If you ask me, you have to spend some time with yourself, at least half an hour a day, early part of the day, when you're able to wake up early, and then spend half an hour of the time with yourself, you'll be better off. So I can understand when the day starts, various other roles come in, but mental fitness is first, and you have to allocate some time. How you may be could be a very busy entrepreneur or a professional. They will still have half an hour or 45 minutes for physical fitness, or they will make time. If you don't make time for proper food, eventually you'll end up suffering. So it is a question of priorities. The question of priorities. Early in life, if you're able to sort it out, you're better off. That's why early part of the day, there's a saying: early to bed, early to rise makes a person healthy, wealthy, and wise. Early to bed, early to rise makes a person healthy, wealthy, and wise. Set your priorities. Set your priorities in your life, and understand the role of a spiritual seeker. It should be there. if it is the role of a husband, of a wife, of an employee, of a mother or of a sister, all these things takes over. I mean, you will not have time. You should, the time of the spiritual seeker should also be there. It's like, you spend half an hour a day for your exercises, the physical fitness, but I'm suggesting mental fitness. Let it, you have to set that as a priority. How a person after a heart attack makes health a priority. Till such time, he thought, it's okay. I mean, I keep traveling. I don't have time. I'm from one airport to another airport, hardly any time. But now, after a heart attack, mild, not even a heart attack, the doctor tells, look here, if you don't take care of your health, you will be in my hospital for 1 month. Watch out. Moment the doctor scares him, every day the fellows, he buys a very good treadmill and he's eating healthy food, suddenly change, because that has become a priority. That's what I'm saying. Certain
Great.
things, early in life, make it a priority. Make it a priority.
Dear Sridharan, I would like really to thank you very much, because today we covered the topic of putting the goals, but also we touched the topic of priority about mental health. That is very important in the turbulent time. And if you serve all others but don't serve your needs, you unfortunately become useless, and then nobody maybe will not remember you. So if you want to be to do good things to the world, first do it for yourself. And really tough times will not last forever, but tough people will. And our desire now also to last long and to be healthy and to help our community, but first to help ourselves and to support ourselves. Thank you so much. I have 20 more questions to you, but unfortunately our time is running. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your master, who at the age of 93, best regards to him, still continue his work, and he put all this knowledge into you. And now, because of your master, we are able to study that. So it's priceless.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And you see, next week there is a big event. We have the message of the masters. We do one event as an offering of gratitude to all great masters of the world. So next Friday is that lecture. I would, in the Hidden Heroes, can be a part of it if there is a possibility.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Sridharan. Thank you so much. All the best to you. Be safe, take care of yourself, and we are very happy to have you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yes.
Hoping the screen share will work.
Dear friends, after such an inspirational Sri Harang and after his talk, I would like to welcome the speaker whom I love very much. It's Divyata Rajaram. She is a wonderful lady who is director and the head of Quadrillion Group. She is author and she is social media influencer. Her book, If You Only Know Me, is very popular in the United Arab Emirates, and she is the master of thrillers. Hello, Divyata. Happy to see you.
Hi, Olga. Great to see you.
Great to see you. From early morning, you see, we agreed with Divyata that we will be wearing the same clothes. Actually, I come to Divyata and pick up the same clothes for me. Actually, it's a beautiful coincidence, and I love what we are doing. That means we are on the same vibes. Divyata, as a successful author, as a successful writer, as an influencer, and as a business owner, we are going today to talk how to go global, how to make a business strategy that can go global. Because our Hidden Hero platform is helping business people, entrepreneurs, and just young people who only have some idea how to go global, how not to be only in one country. Because if you're in India, that doesn't mean that you should do business only in India. If you are in Russia, that doesn't mean that you should be only in Russia or in Ukraine or in England. The world becomes a smaller place and we can unite it. So the aim of our conference today is go global, to help people to think about strategies that can help go global. And you're a great example of a person who from India become famous in Dubai, in United Arab Emirates, become famous in the world, and you never give up. I remember one time you told me, Olga, sometimes I'm writing 20 letters a week and I'm not giving up. I'm just doing it. So let us listen to your example, and after you give us a small lecture, I will ask you if you allow me questions. So it's Divyata Rajaram.
Of course. Thank you so much, Olga. As always, it's such a fantastic opportunity. And yes, like you said, I think it's your energy and the positivity and the drive that brought us together in the first place. Because I think in an environment where everybody is only looking largely at the downside of things, because it really is a very, very difficult circumstance. And I'm very conscious of that all over the world. We ourselves in Dubai are just about coming out of lockdown, and many, many countries are still very badly suffering. But I think if there's one thing that's bringing us all together on platforms like this, I'd like to think it's positivity and optimism, and the fact that with everybody talking about social distance, the world has actually never been smaller than it has today, thanks to, of course, technology. So I'm very grateful to you for all these lovely opportunities, and also to connect with people listening to us. I have to be honest that, I'm using this different, I'm going to try and screen share something because I wanted to start with something that was very inspirational. So I just put together one or two things that I could talk through. And I'm hoping, as you said, because I do wear multiple hats, but the primary one, as I am today, of course, is as an author. And I have been working very hard trying to build my brand, also in terms of my own writing, but also to connect to people and influence people. And as you know, being an entrepreneur as well, these are all terms that we give ourselves, but they flow into each other. Many of the strategies we talk about are common across small business owners. They're common for the visions that we have for our businesses, for our, the hobbies or what we decide to take up, and also for the goals that I really believe, we have to wake up every morning saying, why have I got up today? What do I have to accomplish? And as human beings, this is the only thing that really, really keeps us going. So I just wanted to show this, which hopefully is now going to pop up on the screen. Wow. Screen shares never work when you need them to work. So apologies for that. But I'm still going to try anyway. So bear with me for a second. Yeah. Is that visible?
For me, unfortunately.
One second. I'm just trying. You're in the Chrome tab. Wow. Okay, I'm just getting stuck with a couple of these tabs here, so I think I'm just going to move on. But maybe I can just talk through what I had there was really nothing earth-shattering, but it's just, that there was a very powerful quote in my life that has always motivated me. And it is that, you are only limited, you're limitless, rather, let me just read this. It says exactly, your limitation is only your imagination. And that's just something that, I just wanted to put out there because I thought it's an excellent way to start, which is that, if I can just say a little bit about my own journey in the UAE. You're absolutely right that, I'm a lady of obviously of Indian origin, based here in Dubai. And when I thought to myself that, I want to write this book, or I want to produce this work of fiction, I told myself that I would like it to be, the whole context to be true to the city where I'm living. And therefore, If You Only Knew Me, my first book, was based entirely in the context of a local, audience, people and characters who are living outside of their own homes, expatriate living, and even the locations were very, very specific to Dubai.
Divya, if you allow me, I will explain to our audience, because a lot of people are watching from Russia, from Kazakhstan,
Sure.
And I will just explain 1 second.
Please,
in Dubai,
please.
This is a place where a lot of expats living, people from another countries, but some of them are living so long, let's say 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and even some people are living 20 years. Even the country itself is only 40 years. I think 45 years old. That's why a lot of people consider this place as their home. And the book of Divyata, If You Only Know Me, is about that people who live many years in Dubai, in United Arab Emirates, as a home.
That's right. Has it come
great.
Up now?
Divyata, we can see your magnificent page.
Fantastic. So basically, I was just going to do the same thing, which I thought we would start by just introducing myself, which you've already done very beautifully, Olga. But I am an Indian author, as I said, but now an international author. I like to think of myself as a person who has been in, I have lived in a different country. I have written in the context of a culture that I came here also as a foreigner and not understanding. But I made it my business to get to know more about this beautiful place. Now, the story I have written in my books is being read by readers in the United States. It's being read by people in Australia, in the UK, hopefully as well, and Japan and China. Honestly, so many of these beautiful countries, Olga, I have not even visited maybe myself. But this is the power of going internationally or globally as we talk about it today is that so much depends on the connection of minds, connection of strategies, connection of goals. Not just that physically, I think the world has changed so much, is that if you have a vision and if you have great content, it really crosses all of the borders. So if I can just say, I think, as you know very well, Olga, living here, there is nothing, there are so many differences between the UAE, also between, India, of course, as well as a lot of the Western markets. So when I started writing this, I started thinking to myself, what is the commonality? Is there something that makes us all the same? And the answer that I got, very interestingly, is the fact that in the end, the human emotions are one thing that totally cuts across all the, it makes us truly global. And I say this because today, if you talk to millions of people stuck in their homes, locked down in different countries, they are, the content, as I call it, whether it's in a Netflix or whether it's in a home movies or whether it's in a novel or whether it's on a Kindle reader, or matter is people today are just appreciating so many different kinds of contents. They are reading so many things. They are watching so many movies. I was talking to an Indian lady the other day who was telling me about how much she was enjoying Korean dramas, and I just think that the world as we know it has shrunk. There is no more what you see, what I see, what somebody experiences. Today, through great offerings, through great content, to the great digitization, everything is connected. And therefore, if you appreciate the emotions, the drama, the characters, it's another reason why Hindi movies, the Bollywood, is so famous in Russia as well, is famous in Japan, because even if you don't understand the language, it's the emotions that are connected. So I'd like to say that my books, If You Only Knew Me and In the Shadows, are both entirely based on larger than life human, everyday expatriate living situations. And I think that's a big reason why it had an appeal, obviously, to other audiences as well. But having said that, I think the other thing that I would like to basically say is that before I get into the actual strategies, and I've tried to make it really as simple and broad-based, so that every stage, whether it's a first-time author, whether it's somebody who is still on the journey, or it's a small business owner, I'm hoping that by making it as broad-based as possible, that would be helpful. But what I was just about to say is the fact that I think when I started in Dubai, and this is a misnomer that I want to clarify, I think a lot of people forget, Olga, that in order to be successful internationally, you first have to really understand your own home. You have to understand the local context. So even if, I meet frankly, a lot of people based here as well. And I think the big difference, and one of the reasons for me being so successful, was that I meet a lot of people who base themselves in the UAE, but are busy selling themselves only internationally. And this is the distinction that I would like to make, because I think that it is so, so I'm just moving here. It is so important, really, to understand in a context where you are living in this is so important, where you are living in this diaspora. Have I still got the connection? Can you see me?
Yeah, it's
Hello?
okay.
Yeah, okay. I thought I lost the connection. So no, but like I was saying, that I think it's very important that, you know, what happens is, Olga, that we first have to understand the local market that we are in. We have to basically understand how publishing, how running a business, for instance, what the regularities are, you know, so much of this, that as it applies in the local market. And when that is not happening, I think people lose a connect when you're just basing yourself in one country, but you are trying really to sell yourself. And then it becomes internationally, and then it becomes less strategic and more just, you know, an attempt to make some profits in some other countries. So a good 6 to 8 months of my journey after being published was presenting myself to the UAE National Media Council, was understanding how the publishing, distribution, how the local retailers work, what are the laws in this country. And I like to think of it as a huge learning experience, because I think the more that I invested myself in the local market, I got huge returns. And, you know, this is the mistake that people very commonly make, because we think that, you know, oh, it's a small country. And there's much bigger markets, you know, the US, the UK, you know, Russia, China. There are so many huge markets, and, you know, let me go there on day one. And this is what I want to start by saying, that in my mind, this is a mistake, very commonly made, because your first step, you know, in English we have a we have a saying, you know, whatever we do in terms of anything, you know, you start it like, you know, obviously this is not a charity, but we have a saying that says charity begins at home. And the same way, I'd like to think of it that your first efforts always first have to be invested in the country where you are based, you know, where you are first selling, distributing your products, doing all of that. A very interesting thing happened, because I started focusing first on the local, on the market. I started engaging with people who were powerful influencers and networkers within the UAE. And this, again, I'd like to say, is many times, including when I met you, for instance, I think when we shut our minds to the fact that someone outside our immediate understanding, because I'm not Arab or I am not Emirati, and I am so thankful, Olga, that I never shut my mind to a lot of wonderful Emirati friends, a lot of friends from other nationalities, right, who then came forward to become part of, you know, my circle, if you can call it that, and help me even when I said, look, now I think the time has come to go global. So I think, you know, that this is an important learning, because unless you establish yourself very well locally, unless you understand and take the steps locally that one has to do, and as I've mentioned, whether that was with the National Media Council or it was at, you know, meeting Isabel Belhoul, who is extremely such a great mentor from the Emirates Airlines Festival of Literature. Now, these were people who, until I stepped into this field, I knew nothing about them. And yet, when I met them, I think it is so wonderful, you know, especially in this country where we live, that I would say there is not just 10% support. There is a 100% support to all countries, all cultures, all expatriates. And today, Olga, I feel very proud to say that at my book launch, at the very first time, it was so unique a situation for me because I organized it at the India Club. And I had the Consul General for India standing on the same stage as the director of the UAE National Media Council. And I had guests of all nationalities in my audience. And I looked around and I just thought to myself that, we are so blessed that we sit today in a place which is like a mini United Nations. And all you have to do is to open your mind and open your heart and see another human being. And
Divyata, I would like please to ask you, because I can see me myself on a big screen. Maybe you can show your book or stop this sharing the screen because I want to see you.
Make your goals, ideologies, common visions. Anything I've seen, whether it's business, whether the book is successful. So coming from that, basically, I just want to step on to some slightly more specific strategies in terms of what a small business owner or what an author really, in my case, which I'm referring to, can start. And as I said, I'm keeping it as simple and broad-based so that we can have questions on this. And I think one of them we've already spoken quite a lot in detail, but it was really the first aspect is to understand your local market and then to also understand your target market. Okay, so when you say defining your target audience or defining your target market, hi, are we there?
Yes.
Okay, I think it just temporarily lost.
Divyata, can you please switch off sharing the screen? Can you please remove sharing the screen? Can you please stop
maybe
sharing
that's what
screen?
is interrupting it. 1 second.
Yeah.
I think my 1 second, Olga. My screen is just hanging. Screen is hanging for some reason. 1 second. Just hanging, I'm afraid.
Okay,
yeah,
no
I'm
problem.
Going to do it. Okay, 1
Let's
second.
continue.
Hopefully we go on. I have clicked that, and hopefully it's not a bad. Yeah. Many of these that never happens. So I'm sorry. Yeah, so hopefully that will go through. It says, yeah, the application.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Olga.
Aha, Divyata, happy to see you. Please
I-
continue. Don't share any screens, please. Don't touch it, please.
I'm sorry. I think, yeah, I just moved from my the laptop, which is causing all the trouble, to an iPad. So hopefully we now can proceed smoothly. Okay. So I want to just very quickly go back to what we were saying, which is that when we're talking about the strategies in general, which we are talking about for global success, whether for small business or even in my case for the writing of the book, the first step, as we talked in detail, was understanding the local market. But when we then have to formulate a plan, we have to really understand our target markets. Now, here again, we use a very broad term where we say, oh, she's an author, or he's an author, or he's a business, and they want to succeed internationally. Okay. Now, what is internationally? What is globally? Which markets do you want to go to? What are the specific things that you would like to achieve in some markets? So I think here I want to say that it's not a one size fits all. And as much as we want to stay very distinctive and very customized and all of that, when we create a work, we do it so that it really stands out with all its individuality. But the important thing to understand is that customization and tailoring a strategy and all of that for global markets will only work when we are fully cognizant of how things are working in those countries.
You mean that if you start from
in the
one
world
place, yeah, you should study this place thoroughly. You should know your market very well, and only then you can go internationally after you got experience, but not jumping to new markets before you did research on your market.
Exactly. So you've done research on your own market, right? You've settled yourself first as a brand. You've sold in your local market. You then start looking at the outside markets. Now, to give you an example, when I say understand, a lot of people may think, why is that so important? It's because of, as we said, in the world of books, for instance, if I can give you an example. When you go out with a book, rather than just the physical book, you will have a publisher who is also asking you to develop a digital edition or, to have e-reader books. But all markets are not at the same level, for instance, of adopting e-reading. So in the US, something is working brilliantly because it's a market where, there's a large, almost 70% of the audience or the reader there, they are reading it. And, you have Amazon, of course, you have all the big, providers in terms of Kindle, and you have, Nook from Barnes & Noble. You have all the big, both the devices and, of course, all the technology available, and they have adopted it very early. But there are a lot of smaller markets, for instance, maybe in parts of Europe. Belgium, for instance, was very slow to adopt in terms of e-reading, and they prefer a physical book. So there's no right or wrong. It's just that today we are in a world with so many different kinds of offerings. And we need to first understand how people are responding in those countries before we just take whatever we have in terms of the products, the services, and we throw it in that market. So the way I like to look at it is that the reason why, and I'm also a banker by profession. We also run our own business in consulting for financial services. So I like to think that, there is nothing that should be just instinctive. Hey, I feel like today I want to be on Amazon and I'm going to sell in Germany. It doesn't work that way. When you put down your blueprint, when you put down a strategy for how you want to market your book, in addition to what you're doing with local distributors and in the local market, it's very, very critical that you look at the whole world and you look at each country as a different plan. And we're going to come to that a little later. But this plan that you make is going to be so useful to you, not just in terms of your book being available everywhere, but at a later stage, when you really get into marketing to these audiences, you will then have a very clear-cut idea of, all right, I don't want to invest in this particular product in that market because I do not think that I will see a return on my investment. So everything, every dollar spent, every dirham spent, whatever it is, you need to carefully think. And especially I speak, Olga, as a small business owner. We have to walk the talk. We have to basically, put our money where our mouth is, as they say. And we have to manage ourselves with very streamlined margins so that we actually see profitability. Because let's be honest, unless you are talking about, a very large scale, publisher, and even in these times, even the large scale publishers are not investing that kind of money on every single author who comes forward, or nobody is saying, hey, I'm going to translate you overnight into 20 languages. Then you will be in 20 markets and then you will sell like this. It never happens. Yeah. So rather, what everybody is doing today is a smart marketing. And what is smart marketing? It is using technology. It's using your insights, your research into each market, which is, of course, backed. I'm a big believer in analytics and data that sits below all the information and all the decision that we take. And I mean, even if you don't want to be, you don't want to hire somebody to look at it like that, you just have to go online and you find so many statistics about what is big in which market. So understanding your market, as I said, is very, very important, understanding your target market. And then once you have understood that, you will formulate a strategy that is customized to fit the needs of that particular market. So at a time when Japan was slow to adopt e-reader, it would have been crazy for me as an author to go and say that, I think I will not have any physical books in this market. I will only do e-reader version because nobody is picking it up. So I think very often, Olga, as authors or even as business people, we believe so much in our own work, our products, our services, that we forget to listen to what the other, the person on the other end is thinking, is feeling, what the preference is. When they talk about user preferences, it's a huge, huge area that basically will determine whether you succeed or you fail. Because marketing is never a one-way street. It's always a two-way conversation. And if I'm not listening to what you need and what you want and what you prefer, I can never tailor-make my offering to suit that market and be successful. And I think the ultimate goal for every business owner, just as it is for an author, just as it is for an entrepreneur, is not just that my products or my books, in this case, are available across so many stores, but it's the fact that when you as a reader walk in and you pick it up, it is basically something that you prefer, it gets your attention, you enjoy it, and then you tell another 50 people about it. And I think I've seen in every case, and my own journey is evidence of that, that because the first part was largely focusing on what are people like Olga telling me about my book, it can then help me to tailor-make that and decide which markets and what do I want to do.
So this takes me on to the second aspect. Once you've understood your target market, what do you do with this information? When I've understood my target market, I think, very logically speaking, what happens is that I need to be open to adapt my format. Now, adapt is a word, again, that many people use, and I love it in this context, because as much as we lay out a strategy, as much as we say that, you know, these are the building blocks, I think it's very important to acknowledge that just as we didn't know about COVID-19, we need to keep ourselves at all times. Our minds, our plans, everything needs to be, we need to be resilient enough, and we need to basically adapt ourselves to suit the needs. Just like we are doing today. We're on all these various Zoom and you know, other technologies and other things, and we're trying new and different ways. Because if we don't adapt our offering, Olga, I'm not able to sit in front of you with my books.
Unfortunately,
So how
maybe
do
we
I-
don't want it. Yeah, maybe we want to communicate face to face. Maybe we like big conferences like we did Women SME, which is for 500 people. And like this, we feel more sure, more comfortable. And of course, we can communicate rather than talking through Zoom or like this. But if we will not meet like this, then we will not meet at all. And our idea is how to show to other authors in the world, if Divyata Rajaram, if she did it, if you did it, if you made your book popular, what are the steps for other people to follow them, or at least to change their way of thinking, how they can, this is what we are doing. We have to adapt.
Right. So I completely agree with you that, you know, I mean, this is what I'm saying, is that at all parts of everything that we're doing, we have to be ready to adapt. And similarly, Olga, even before this situation, even when we are marketing the books across, I needed to be open. You know, I can't say, this is the book, this is how it looks, this is the title, and I will not change it for any of the markets. So many authors, you know, the first thing that really happens when you think internationally is that the publisher sits down with them, or they sit down themselves with a marketing consultant. And we say, okay, now the same book, the same content. For example, the US prefers a book cover format, which is in a different manner from the way it should be in Europe. In Europe, if I've written a book on romance, for instance, the cover is a lot less hard-hitting. It's very, you know, you just allude to a meaning. You don't have to be out there and say it. It's a softer approach. It's a more symbolic approach. In the US, they prefer more clarity. What is the book all about? You know, the cover really, for the few seconds a person is going to look at it, it has to stand out and tell you exactly what is this all about. Now, if you are thinking about, hey, I just want to go there, you will think, oh, two markets, you know, between Europe and the US, maybe they will all, you know, I'm catering to English speaking. So if I'm talking to English speaking audiences, why should I not just put the same book, the same way that it looks out in these markets? But like I just described to you, that even if language is common, the sensibilities, the cultural approaches, all of that may be dramatically different between these two countries. So again, we come back to, you know, what I started by saying, that there is no one size fits all, and you have to understand, first of all, what, like even we say books very loosely, Olga, but in fiction, as you know, there are different genres. Now, I write psychological thrillers, I write crime fiction. So I would, for instance, look at the genre of crime fiction. What is working in that country? How are people buying it in that country? The country which I want to sell my books in. You know, and then what are all those various things around it in terms of, you know, maybe even other competing offerings in that space? So I think everybody, you have some goals for, you have goalposts, and you have famous authors, and you want to look at these authors. So when Anthony, Horowitz was one of mine, or Jeffrey Deaver, or I used to read a lot of Agatha Christie. So I think it's important not to just think, or even, Jeffrey Archer now, because I'm writing, short stories. I like his style. I like the way he does. So there's a lot to be learned in terms of how this content is written, how it is presented in each market, how that same offering by somebody else or something similar, how is it being presented? And when you do that, I think, and you obviously, you pick, people who are hugely, like, I know after J.K. Rowling achieved so much of success, there were at least 1 million different people who were writing those kind of books. So and everybody was trying to do some of those similar tactics and things. And so I think as human beings, like I said, we have to keep adapting, we have to keep evolving, and we have to understand that when somebody says change your format, it doesn't mean, Olga, that I have a bad product. It only means that experts will tell you, and almost all the big publishers do this, that your content in this form may not work, for instance, in Russia. So if that is the case, they stay true to the story and true to the narrative and everything else, and it's a dialogue between the author and the publisher. But the book is, tweaked, it's adjusted in different ways so that it is so much more appealing to you when you pick it up in Russia.
So, Devata, you are saying that feedback from people, you should take it as advice. You should take it as a boosting opportunity.
You
shouldn't take it as a criticism that is criticizing your book or your cover or you as an author. Just take the feedback from the specialist in this country.
Be open, I think like we're doing today. Today's world, Olga, is about sharing. It's about taking on board feedback. It's about using knowledge, feedback. I mean, why are we doing sessions like this, right? It's because it's not just your journey or my journey. It's a collective. The whole world is trying in different ways to achieve different things, and we are not all going in different directions. So I think that is the big difference between, earlier and just saying, hey, I want to make as much profit and, this is all that I care about. In which case, I don't need to talk to Olga. I don't have to talk to anyone else. I just have to do what I think is the correct thing for my book. But many people who go on this approach really find themselves at some point, you are going to need expertise from a different part. And how is expertise? Nobody is born knowing these things. You build the knowledge based on the building blocks of the hard work and the commitment and the time that somebody has taken to understand how things are working in this market. And believe me, even these experts, even consultants, even people who do this, like I said, adaptable, that word is so important because our understanding today of everything is changing, right? So I cannot stay rigid and tell you, Olga, I have told you exactly 4 steps. And it is only 4 steps. It is not 6 steps. It's not 8 steps. Maybe it's only, I can't be like that because every day a new circumstance, a new technology invention, a new invention in something else, some other field, is changing our knowledge. So the way I like to think of it is when we say adapt, it means at all times, as the world is shrinking, we need to expand our minds. And we expand our minds to hold not only the knowledge that we already possess, but to absorb as much as we can and then use that knowledge to tailor make or adjust or, adapt our offering. And yes, as you beautifully said, without, making changes or asking somebody to make changes does not in any way imply that the original is in any way inferior. And it's
Divyata, thank you so much. It's very, very precious. Because we have only few minutes left, I want to ask few questions now, and I hope these questions will be useful. Question number one, you are practically one of the few authors who reached that big success. And I know that you're very hardworking. As you told me, you can do 20 calls, 20 meetings, 20 letters a week. So you're not sitting in one place. Do you think this is your devotion or your discipline helped you, or you think very well done strategy that first, as you said, you collected the data? What helped you the most?
I think, Olga, just to answer that very, very quickly, it's a combination of all these factors, but largely it is the fact that when I started doing this, and that's why I think it's so important, to be driven by a goal, you have to have the tenacity and belief. On day one, nobody will believe in you except yourself. But in my mind, believe it or not, from day one, when I started writing my book, I could see myself on the podium at Emirates Airlines. I could see myself on the Amazon, selling to millions of people internationally. I was able to have a vision for something. So I think, it's important, as we say, not just, to limit ourselves, but to believe in ourselves. And in the end, like they say, no one will bring flowers to your garden. You will have to find the flowers yourself. You will have to build yourself as a brand. You have to make people believe. And then one day, suddenly you realize that everything that was sort of a dream, the more you believe in that dream, it's become a reality. And you may not have even realized it, but suddenly you are living the dream.
Wonderfully said and very true said. Dear Divyata, tell me please, what is the biggest challenge for you right now as the author?
I think right now for me, honestly, Olga, it's really finding, like, as I write, one is it's finding meaningful content. Believe me or not, and this is the great thing about being a creative person. This year, the last few months, because of everything that happened, I had started, at the beginning of this year to write my third, crime fiction novel, all this. And you will not believe me when I say that I have just closed that project and I put it away because my whole mind is so much now, it has been changed. So I think, like we said, we adapt, we change, we evolve. So now I'm really, I'm looking for content that is meaningful in this environment. And I'm writing some short stories and I'm trying to keep the creative process going. But I think in today's world, Olga, it's not an easy world. For many of us who do this, I myself, I'm the mother of a school-going child. I have a business to run, which my husband and myself run here in Dubai. I have my book projects to finish, and I want to stay connected with family and friends. So I'm juggling all these different balls like everybody is. And I think that's a big challenge, is for all of us to prioritize, to try to stay sane, to try to stay productive in a world which, even if we say 100 times, a world which has changed forever.
Yeah, it's not, when we say that it's not helping, we know it's changing, but the thing is how to stay happy. The thing is how to stay resourceful, how to, to be healthy, to be powerful, and to be able to serve people and to be of help to them. That's why I think our biggest goal. I will be happy if people who are writing books, if you allow them, that they can connect with you, if they're
Of
from
course.
Russia, if they're from Kazakhstan. I think it will be very
I
interesting.
would love
And
that.
I don't know, you start doing thrillers, but now, and your book, If You Only Know Me, is very exciting. And I told you, for me, it reminds of Agatha Christie. But now our life become a little bit like a thriller. So next time, Divyata, when you will start writing book, be careful, because it's like Cassandra, you know, whatever you write, it's
You know,
coming
it's
true.
so funny you say that, because I could not agree with you more. I think every day I think, oh my God, now let me not write any of these negative things. I'm trying now to focus on the positive, you know, but you're so right, is that I'm a big, you know, personally, I believe in putting human interest above everything else. I love to connect with people. In that sense, I'm very similar to you. I believe in sharing, you know, knowledge and receiving knowledge wherever possible. And you know how they say, pay it forward, Olga. So a lot of the help that has been given to me, a lot of the support that has been given to me, you know, from the rulers downward to the National Media Council, to so many inspirational people here. If I can help even one person who is a new author going forward on the same journey, that will really, really, really make me feel, you know, so happy that I'm able to make a difference.
That is great. And I would like, Divyata, thank you so much for your knowledge, expertise, for your positive energy. And the thing that you said, that you're handling a lot of roles. And we discussed it with Mr. Shrit Harang before, that it's good not to be in only in one role. Your mother, you're a businesswoman, you're inspirational leader, you're an influencer, you are owner of the business, you're a wife, you're a mother, and you're a great cooker. You're a chef, and all this. You like colors, you like to dress up, you like pictures, paintings. I know that you love so many things, and it's great that you're managing and give priority to every of that role. But of course, we love you, Divyata, as a great author, and I strongly recommend If You Only Know Me. Very interesting and exciting book. The book that I will not forget. Thank you so much for your time.
And I'll be happy to share all the links to the books with you. And if any of your readers in Russia are not able to access it, please do tell me, and I will arrange for them to basically get the books as well. So anytime, please let me know how I can help.
Thank you, Divyata. Thank you so much. Was happy to see you. All the best. Stay safe. Stay in good mood.
Thank you, Olga. Take care. Bye-bye.
Share terms.
Dear friends, I would like to welcome Canan Piskin. She is a very inspirational lady. She is executive coach, the owner of the company, great mother, and she is the person who is helping a lot of communities and also a lot of women to stay strong and to be strong. She is now in London, and she is originally from Turkey, but actually Canan is from everywhere. That's why she is today on our mini summit, Go Global. Hello, Canan. Happy to see you.
Hello, Olga. Hello from a nice British weather. It has just rained in the morning. Now there is some sunshine. We are happy to have it, even in the summertime. I hope I could have sent this breeze to Dubai right now, but I
With
hope the energy
pleasure.
will
We
flow.
have 45 degrees and we always welcome the rain. The rain here is like paradise. And I think in
remember.
London, you get used to rain, yeah?
Indeed, indeed. That's the normal here.
That's
And
wonderful.
when you are going global, your normal changes, not because of COVID, but when you are moving to a new country, your normal is, when I was in Dubai, it was 45 was my normal. Now the daily rain is also my normal. So thank
That
you
is
inviting
great.
me to this lovely event.
Thank you, Canan. We're happy to see you. Canan is one of the today's guests, and she asked me not to give a lecture. She asked me from the beginning to ask her questions because she feels more comfortable and she wanted it to be moderated like a friend talk. And of course, with great pleasure, I will do like this, and I think it will be very good. Canan, you are the person who really in your life moved a lot. You are from Turkey, but then you moved to Dubai. And as soon as you become quite famous and successful in Dubai, you were working with Dubai Women Council, and I know that you were helping a lot of people. Then you moved to Azerbaijan. As soon you established yourself in Baku, in Azerbaijan, you again have to move and then again to England. And it's completely different worlds and different missions. Tell me, please, moving from one country to another, what is your experience? What are you feeling? How it's influencing your business?
Thank you. It is my pleasure to share my experience, and I hope there will be quite a lot of people getting inspired to this. The motivation to moving abroad, specifically to different countries, has their specific motivations. But in general, there is a let's say vision I have been having, and also this has to be a family vision, because moving, if you are having a family, it's not that you can just decide a country and you just move. It was a family decision to experience new worlds, new cultures, new businesses, new way of doing things. And the first time I moved from out of Turkey was to Dubai. I was back then working for HSBC, and I was promoted to a role in HSBC Middle East, covering the Middle East and North Africa countries in the business risk control management within the commercial banking. And back then, my intention was not moving to Dubai, but moving to a new world. And I was lucky to be there, as Dubai is like United Nations, as you can say. And the first good part was there were lots of different cultures and from different nationalities, which was including a kind of a challenge as well. And we will be speaking about these in the course of our conversation. Moving to Azerbaijan was as my husband took a role at a university as a professor. We wanted to continue our life in a new country. So it is even much better to live in a country than just traveling all around or just spending a few days. It would be adding to our family's vision. I would like my children to experience different cultures, that there are different cultures, there are different religions, there are different ways of living things. There in Azerbaijan, I shifted to executive coaching as well. I was coaching chief risk officers and chief C-level leaders of a leading investment bank over there. And moving to United Kingdom, in fact, the first drive was my daughter wanted to study in England, because they turned out to be the global children. They no more want to go back to our, and at a young age, it's much easier for them to get to know new environments. I'm sure you have experience with your children as well. They are more comfortable with global practices, global culture. There is no something that I'm used to this, and I cannot live without this anymore. So as she was moving here, I said, okay, I'm coaching very senior level people in Azerbaijan, and I want to grow my business. So I have to go global as we are speaking today. I have to change my environment. And for executive coaching business, either I have to be in London or New York. These are the top business places. So this family vision has coincided with my business vision. That's why I moved to England. So in last 5 or 6 years' time, I have moved 3 different countries. Interesting. So
it's interesting and it's very difficult. And I know that because I know that you are the leader and you are leading a lot of women behind you. And some people, they say it's the same for men and for women, but you, you sacrifice a lot because you are following your husband. And I know that you were building your success in Dubai for quite a long period of time. You have a big database of people who were using your services. You become famous in different universities. You have a lot of clients who needed you. But then you decide if it's better for you and if it's better for your family, you will in a way sacrifice it and go there. How, I know that a lot of women, they are doing that because they think that family is more important. What do you think? What you will recommend to those people? And by the way, I know now that men are doing the same. Because if the woman has higher position, maybe she's a banker, she is earning more money than men. Now men are following their wives. What you will recommend to these people who are following? How not to feel bitter? How not to be angry? How not to feel like a victim? Mm-hmm. That you have to stop your career and to be the one who is following?
That's a great question. Thank you for opening this part of the conversation. As you can guess, firstly, I don't want to use the word sacrifice or cost. They are all investments to our lives. You are investing your family, your happiness, but also your future. And secondly, our first move from out of Turkey was because of my role. So my husband has resigned from his job, but what has created, this is very interesting, what has created an opportunity for him to start his second career as an academician. For example, he was in the finance sector as a trader in the mutual funds and fixed income sector, but he has also finished his PhD. So when I moved to Dubai because of my promotion to the HSBC Middle East director, he wanted to start his academic life, the second career of his life. And it was something that has broadened our minds. If we had continued living in Turkey, we would be available with very limited options for our lives that is available. So when you go global, when you just shift to even to the neighbor country, there will be lots of different opportunities you will be having. And why I moved to Azerbaijan? Because I have, let's say, instead of sacrificed, invested for my family. The well-being of the family, being together, is very valuable, and I have understood this value during this temporary time. I can say this changing world as well. But also I have found opportunities in Azerbaijan. In Azerbaijan, firstly, it's a very open country to what is going on in the rest of the world. Although you can say they are a bit back from worldwide implications, there is a really high speed of catching up what it is going on. So it is, for some instances, it's very similar to Turkey that we have gone through in 1980s or 90s, but the pace, the speed of catching up with the new things in the world is much higher. And this is now a global world. You have Zoom, you have internet, and you can do anything. You can learn anything, you can experience anything else. And what the opportunity for my coaching business, there was quite a lot of coaches, and Azerbaijan is an ex-Soviet Union country. And they would like to hire coaches for their leaders who have experienced other world practices. For example, I'm trained, I'm educated in higher schools of Turkey, but also I have my MBA from Warwick University, Warwick Business School. I have worked with global companies, global banks, French bank, British bank. And so the experience I have as an executive while I was working in the banking industry for 20 years has been a differential for me to get into the market of coaches in Azerbaijan. There I was able to experience and make use of what I have gained in this period of time. Moving to England, okay, at first you might think that, oh, this is an English-speaking country and then the native speaker, I might have some challenges. And then I came to realize, and how I have received from the feedback, says my experience living in different countries, setting up new structures, setting up new relationships and networks has added immense value to my value added to the organization I'll be coaching. So that was really interesting, and it really pays back. The investment you do really pays back with multiples.
That is great that you're saying you don't put yourself as a victim or sacrifice. I like the word that you are using, investment in future, investment of family being together, investment in your kids' education to be to experience different cultures. I like the angle that you look at that. You try not to feel bitter, not to think about only you, but you're thinking about yourself as a part of a big family. And a family is already a big luxury to have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I would like to add this victim part, if you let me. There is the terminology, maybe some of you are familiar with it, being above the line or below the line, being where you are, knowing where you are. If there is a thin line about being a victim or victor, just assess yourself, where you are now. When you are a victim, your terminology uses the words blaming people, finding excuses, and finding denials. I haven't done that. Someone asked it. Oh, my family wanted me to study this university. That's why I cannot do anything else. Or the economy is not bad, not so good. In this mood, you cannot create anything. You are just in bed, blames, excuses, and denials. When you're above the line, or you have the ownership of your life, you have the accountability. Okay, there is an economic crisis right now. I have to get prepared for probable cost I might be bearing, or what opportunities can I create from this? For example, now we are using Zoom. 6 months ago, Zoom clients were just some consultants like me. I was doing my coaching sessions over Zoom, coaches and consultants, and that's all. Now, all the teachers, all the students are aware of Zoom. Even grandmothers, they are catching up with their classmates over Zoom. Now, Zoom has different clients, different stakeholders. That's why what is important is you might feel bad, you might feel victim. That's okay. But be aware that you will not create anything in that mood. Just move yourself from that space and wait until you have forgotten that mood and move about the line and make your decisions. Then take your actions. Then make your judgments or whatever. So that's my contribution
that is
to
your,
that.
yeah, that's your way of accepting it and moving forward, and it's a very beautiful way. Kanan, tell me please, because you know Kanan and Janan, and now Kanan has two names, but I will call Kanan Janan. Janan,
However you like.
What was the biggest challenge? Because you're moving to different atmospheres, different perceptions of people. You yourself being from Turkey, then moving to Dubai. And I know that in Dubai, it's a place and it's a country, United Arab Emirates, a country of competition. There are a lot of people who are doing, and then you're moving to Azerbaijan and now to England. Which was the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge is wherever you move is the first one. It resembles like having your first child and second, third, fourth, or whatever. For people who haven't had a child, I can just make it like example. For example, when you are walking on a road for the first time, it's always too long because you don't know when you will be reaching and what you are going to confront on the way. If you are going to take that road this next day and every day for months, it becomes much shorter and easier because you are concentrated on other self. But in any case, the challenges I have faced, for some of them, I was getting prepared because I was going to work with probably non-Turkish people, especially in another language that is not my mother tongue, and in an environment that I don't have any friends, social friends, and business friends as well. Let's say it's a multicultural environment, the challenge. This challenge turns into an opportunity. When you are with when you have a team of multicultural nationalities, all these people have their experiences. They are from different walks of life, and they have different talents that they can bring to the table. As a leader, as a global leader, my role is to facilitate the environment, the atmosphere, the habitat for the team members that they can share comfortably and confidently what they can bring to the table. The table that we are going to deliver to our customers. Customers means if you are in the corporate life, your internal customers in the corporate company, or anyone you're interacting. That's why when you start getting into this, getting this challenge has some opportunities, then you become much more creative. In order to shorten this period, what you can do, I would like to introduce the term of stakeholder relationship management. You have to define your stakeholders and manage your relationship with them. What is a stakeholder? Stakeholders are not only your boss, that you should obey what he wants you to do, or your team members, or your staff who is working for your company, not only with them, your suppliers, your clients whom you are selling. Why they are your stakeholders? Because you depend on them and they depend on you. And it's like a organism, a biological organism, and the body is healthy to the extent that all the cells, all the stakeholders are healthy. When there is it's like you are strong as your weakest link. So you have to strengthen your stakeholder relationships. What are the before starting managing your relation, you have to define who your stakeholders are. Who is the person that will be present while you are discussing your idea in a board meeting. You need people to support your idea. And it's not that meeting that you will be able to succeed. You have to create that relationship beforehand. Or your team members who can work for you in all these extraordinary times. And this period, this extraordinary time of COVID, I want to use this word once, and that's all, has taught us the importance of stakeholder relationship management, especially in extraordinary times. In Turkey, I have experienced the big earthquake. And there was a series of terrorist attacks, which has included a very famous bank. And there was also personal challenges I was going through. Who I was remembering as a good leader are the ones who has checked in me. How are you, Canan? Do you need anything, any support? Do you have any affected family in the earthquake areas? Or I remember that bank who was bombed seriously has been able to start its operations in the very same day, in the afternoon, so their clients can make their banking transactions because they are all running their businesses. You have to take care of your stakeholders in any circumstances. Or how they were able to do this operations to run in the very same day, because they have very good service providers, their IT systems, they had their contingency planning. That has facilitated that environment. And the stakeholders are the people who you depend on, your team members who will work with grace in any condition, or your supplier who will support what you need in extraordinary times. I have heard nowadays the logistic companies were working tremendously. They can't have an excuse because they have to support their retailers who would be providing all the essential items to the people. And also your peers who have supported you in a very serious meeting, in a board meeting, if you were able to support your ideas. And these relationship management will be remembered not only the next day, the next year, 10 years, 15 years, 50 years. That is your legacy.
I think honestly, this is a very good advice, and no wonder that you remember your team from HSBC and from this Turkey bank that called you and say, Canan, how are you? Is in this earthquake nobody affected, your family members? Because it is in a way to stay human when they care not only about you as a worker, but also they care about you as a person. And when they care about you and about family, and they can help in a difficult situation, of course, you want to work with this company. And, we discussed it today with the spiritual guru, Sri Dharang. And he said that only 5% of people are leaving their job because something wrong is with their job. But 95% of people quitting their job because they don't like people. They're quitting because of people, because they cannot work there anymore. So what you say about this stakeholder relationship, and to make this relationship with your team members and your family, is to take care about them. Because if there is earthquake, you don't care about profit, you care about your life and about people whom you love.
Indeed. And that is, I always say, this stakeholder relationship management, all the organizations, all these big companies, they are run by people. It's a people concept. It's not a profit and loss or balance sheet concept. It's not a business concept. And for example, what we can do nowadays, okay, there is a crisis all around the world. We as a business are going on, but all your clients are also going on a crisis. During this time, I have reached out to my previous clients. Would you like to have a talk with me? Because people are just locked into their families at home. That's okay. There was some quality time, but after some time, people need some sharing, something different. They don't want to talk about how is it going, are you doing the social distancing or whatsoever, but people want to talk. So I have reached out to them. If you are a business owner in the retail or whatsoever, call out to your clients who are buying from you, B2B clients. Do you need anything, any support? If you have any financial challenges, I can support you during this time. You can pay later. This will not end your business, but this will end if you don't act. This will end your supplier's business, your client's business. And your business grows not with marketing, spending hundreds of thousands of marketing, but with your efforts, with your referrals, with your reputation. And it's very easy. Do you know? It can just take just 1 cent to demolish your reputation, but you have to spend thousands of dollars. It's and one thing to keep in mind, you have to, I have been going through a training in the last 6 weeks. It was on positive intelligence that is run by a very famous Shirzad Shamin on positive thinking. He says that the human mind is very susceptible to sticking to the negative. And you have to have at least 3 positive things to erase this one negative thing.
Yeah, it looks like the negative things, unfortunately, are much stronger and they stuck in our mind. And to eliminate a bad word, you need to say 3 good words to remove it from the mind of the person. Otherwise, he will be upset and he will be remembering it for a long time. Yeah.
Indeed. So when you start a positive conversation, for example, I just called you, Olga, how are you doing? And you said, Jana, you were in my mind. I was thinking of you and I was having it. This has just challenged to another positive idea in my mind. Oh, Olga, I was thinking of this project and thank God you have called me. Then we can facilitate and things get faster. You can action things much easier. And it's the ripple effect, kind of a ripple effect that you are creating in the world.
Oh, absolutely, I agree, because there is too much, social media, news, CNN, BBC, and if you will only listen to that, you will be sick. Even if you are not sick, at least you will be mental sick. Janan, let's go to the next question about what you can recommend to people who are, they don't know, they don't speak maybe the language that well, or they don't have experience of moving to a new country. They don't know how, but if they will not do that, their business will bankrupt. Let's say if you sit in a small town in France or in a small town in Kazakhstan, and if you will not connect with your audience, or you will be only restricted by 100 people with whom you worked before, you will bankrupt. Because the time changed and people cannot pay that much, maybe your profit will reduce. How to change that? Because you did it 4 times already, and you know why I'm surprised? Because I know you for some years. You reached some success, then you leave. Again, then you reach some success, and again you leave. So it's already 3 times, 4 times you did it. That means that you can do it again. So what you can recommend to people if they're changing completely the place, if they start business, let's say with Turkey, with a new country, especially, for example, that in Kazakhstan, people are very closely connected to Turkey and they work a lot. When you start a new business in a new country, what are few tips to pay attention to?
Okay, the very important thing before starting anything, when you have an idea, start pre-planning. Make your plans. Your business plan is fine, but just calculate what the cost of living will be. Cost of living means you will be moving with your family, what the rents will be, which schools your your children will be going. So once you are available with the data, what amount of money I will need if I will not be able to do any business in the first year, because you have to estimate it beforehand. You cannot just open a shop and start selling in the very first day, and get prepared for any circumstances. This is called, for banks, in this kind of contingency planning. If something happens and we will not be able to operate. Personally, I was when I was looking for different jobs in different parts of the world, it was literally different parts of, one of them was in Buffalo in USA, or in Hong Kong, or in Dubai, and they all have different differentials. There's much available data in the internet. You are able to make your calculations on the rent, how the cost of living will be. Plus, you can start imagining yourself living there. You will be living your social life. Just check out what type of communities you can be part of. If you are doing yoga or dance or whatever social thing, can you continue? Are there places before going? I literally did so. Before moving to Dubai, I determined where I wanted to live, and I found some yoga studios where I can just immediately start going on. When you are prepared in such circumstances, you can immediately jump to the next step. Building on your business. You have once you have set up the infrastructure for yourself and your family, you are more comfortable on building on your business. Now you will be having a new business network. Even if you are in the corporate world or as a business person, you will be having new people to interact that just I have mentioned as stakeholders. For example, when I was in HSBC in the bank, working in the bank, when I moved to the new country, I have made a list of people who I will be interacting frequently, daily or monthly or whatever, and arranged, including my team members, arranged one-to-one meetings with them. Here I come, Jana. I'm coming from here, and this is what I'm going to bring here. What type of concerns you are having? How can I help? How can my department or function can help with you? When I moved as an executive coach to Azerbaijan, in any case, wherever you are, you have to give first. When you give, you will receive multiple times. And in Dubai, in Azerbaijan, here, I was coaching pro bono to organizations. In Azerbaijan, I was coaching a women organization which has 20,000 members. And it was awarded by Facebook among the top 100 Facebook groups in the world. And I have coached the organization, how a non-profit organization should be run. What type of mindset they should be delivering to their supporters. Their supporters means the sponsors, I can say. And I was also coaching an autism organization in Azerbaijan as well, how they can be a good non-profit organization, because they are interacting with government bodies as well. What their clients, means supporters or sponsors, would be requesting from them. Listen to their expectations. So I was coaching with them. What this has facilitated me to get into the market with reputable channels. You have to be sure about whom you are going to support in that sense, and interacting with reputable people. Then it's not about just going to a networking event, but just distributing your business cards. It doesn't work in that sense, or sending a LinkedIn connection through LinkedIn or whatever. People has to know you. If they haven't heard of you or met with you, then these channels will help you to get in touch with these people. I was also always asking to these people, why did you accept to talk with me? Because I asked to Mrs. Amy, should I talk to her? And she said, definitely. Then I talked to you. So it's important to create your relationships one by one at a time, but investing and giving.
It's, you know, very important, since you did it many times, and I like this concept that you shouldn't come and ask, give me that, give me this, I will do that. But when you share what you can do for them as well, especially now when the time is changing and not many people can afford the same amount of money, even for coaching. Janan, I want to ask about your profession, now executive coaching. You were afraid to change because you have a stable job. HSBC Bank is one of the best banks in the Middle East, and you have a high position. And on the market, there are thousands of coaches. And unfortunately, the word coach is spoiled. The word, very often, if a person is doing nothing, it's considered to be coach. You know, there are a lot of people who are 20 years old, they say, I'm a coach. And for many people, coach is doing nothing. Unfortunately, this is how the market reacts to the word coaching. It's something negative. So how you overcome this, because you had a very solid job and you reached very good success. How you dealing with that? How you overcoming that perception?
Whatever you are doing, I'm not going to talk about my coaching, but whatever business you are doing, you have to come to the market with your differentials. What is different from you? If there's a basket of apples, why should I select that apple in the corner? You have to have something different. And we all have, in fact, we are just not aware of it. For example, while I was moving from Azerbaijan to England, I have worked with a coach for my marketing strategy, and we have defined my differentials. An executive coach, okay, there's quite a lot. I'm an executive coach who has an MBA from Warwick Business School. Okay, there are very few. There are, but very few. So I'm an executive coach with Warwick MBA plus 20 years executive experience. Oh, that's a bit different. Not all the coaches have that much experience. I am an executive coach who has 20 years background with an MBA and has lived 4 different countries. And then you become more precise, then your niche market just appears, the people who would like to work this type of a coach. There are people who would like to work with a coach with a psychology background that are not my market. I don't need to work for them. Just define your niche market. Niche market is not selling Ferrari. Niche market is selling to the right people who wants your service. And these qualifications, people not be buying these qualifications. People will be buying what I'm going to solve their problems, which problems I will be solving. My solutions I can provide. That's why here I'm coaching executive expat women, expat, let's say foreign, it's not used in England, let's say, foreign women or men, whatever, who has just moved to a new country or a new organization, so that I can share what I have experienced, what I have learned, adding to the know-how of coaching or executive coaching, or the tools I have gained from Marshall Goldsmith's stakeholder-centered coaching. So
I see. So it's very different. You take it in a different way. You try to find your niche and the thing that you are the best in. And also you try to find where you can be the most helpful to community, where you can bring the biggest help and your expertise will be valuable. That's you try to do accent on this. And that's my last question to you, Janan. I want to know, in your opinion, what was the person or organization or somebody's story that you would like to tell us that you helped somebody the most? I don't know, maybe somebody came in England and he was completely miserable and he didn't know how and where to start, and maybe with your help something changed, or I don't know, or you will say, Olga, I cannot do anything. There was such a difficult case when a person came and I never even heard about that, and I said, no, I cannot help you. What is the story that was the most valuable for you?
Okay, it was a very interesting and spontaneous question, I can guess. It was a very recent conversation I had with a woman. So I was looking for someone for a previous event that I want to invite new speakers to the event, because I was hosting the 3-hour UK session of that event. And one of my friends in London, she suggested someone. And you can talk to her. She has a big network and she's not a vlogger or blogger, but she has a great network. She is also in the board member of the Philharmonic Orchestra and whatsoever. And I called her. I messaged her and I called, and she accepted. And I said, we have talked with her, and she said, okay, this organizing this event will not be for me, but I can support you in other cases. And she started talking about her life and the challenges, but it was not talking, just conversation. It was even not a coaching session. And mostly she was talking and sharing. And it was the first time I was talking to her. And it was a really nice talk. I was very happy when I closed the phone because, you know, when you're meeting interesting people, you feel there is interesting things are going to happen. I said, and one question I asked her, why did you accept talking to me? And she said that because my friend said, suggested your name. And I asked her, should I talk to her? And she said, definitely, because she trusted the experience of her friend. Plus, I liked your name, although she was pronouncing wrongly. And the very next morning, and she's a very successful woman. She has worked in big investment bank in New York. Now she's in London. She's in projects with governments and big companies. And in all these similar conversations, I always talk, there is some kind of saboteur in your mind. What can I deliver to this girl? She's already successful. And the very next morning, I can even read from the phone, Jana, it was really an inspirational talk. I really felt very positive and capable. And thank you for this nice conversation. So what you can bring to people might be just a few words. Through a conversation, she might have been talking a lot, but if I was able to catch one important thing about herself and restate it to her, it made her feel high. So if I'm able to leave people high, whatever, it's either as a paid client or just a conversation or whatever, now I'm serving my purpose.
Oh, this is so beautiful. Janan, this is so beautiful what you said. Absolutely. If we can be of help, if we can be of service, if we can people high, if we can give people hope, especially now when I think a lot of people need hope. And as your last wish or statement for people who are watching you from Moscow, from Kazakhstan, from Dubai, and from London, what you can recommend, maybe something from your experience, how you managed to put peace in your family, where the teenagers who are very difficult to deal with because they're changing, how you bring peace to your family? What are the secrets? How you
okay,
what are you doing?
Don't be afraid what my children will be doing. They can live anywhere in the world if there is Nutella and Wi-Fi. That is one first solution. Once they have these two, and you make the waffle, or you can buy it prepared. Once the family is fine, you can also work on yourself. And in your first talk with the first expert, he said that he said that the harder you work, the luckier you become. And there's maybe some more explanation. Work means just working and doing hard things and just getting tired. Working on yourself, not cooking, and just how I can develop myself. For example, in Azerbaijan, I did not need to learn Russian because they were using the Latin alphabet and more or less similar Azerbaijani to Turkish. But I realized that Baku as a city is a Russian-speaking city. So I started learning Russian.
Really? It's
Now-
amazing.
Yeah, my goal was to sing one song in Russian, but not yet achieve that part.
Not yet. Maybe you can share with us this song, or you're not ready yet.
Kalinka.
Oh, very good. It's Kalinka Malinka, the most
Yes.
famous Russian song.
But this helped me to, because the sentence structure is very different in Russian than English or Turkish. So I was able to understand their Azerbaijani much easily. And there was lots of Russian words in their Azerbaijan. So it made my life easier. When you are into a new country or whatever, the most important tip is just get into the communities. Here in England, I went to the community center in the town where I'm staying. So there were really elderly people, and I joined the creative writing lessons because I wanted to improve my English. And those people were at the age of 70 or 80, the average age, but they were speaking very nice Queen English so that I can develop my English and be more comfortable in my language. I hope it has served me.
Definitely, it has served you. And you know, I like what you're saying, not to be afraid. You go to community center, the people there were much older than you, they're 70, 80 years old, and you want to develop your writing skills and speaking skills. But you know, you were not afraid to do it. You were interested to do it. And that is amazing. It's maybe not exactly, you know, if somebody will ask you 2 years ago, you have never imagined that you will do something like that. It will never come to your mind.
But it was in my 1 year ago. It was in my 100 things to do in life was to live in United Kingdom for 6 months, and there was no idea of moving here that time. So I one by one thinking, you just make your compass arrange to where you want to, and things are just flowing on the way. And last but not least, move out of your comfort zone. There is much more comfort in the new zone. Break the borders and move to a bigger house, bigger landscape. You will have much more opportunities.
It's a very nice set. And tell me, please, Canan, when you joined this group, when elderly people were doing writing skills, they were a little bit surprised, this community, or no? Or they took it as...
Indeed. And you know, you were at the end of each class, you were sharing what you have written. It was the first time I was joining an event like this, and I have written about when I was a child. I was thinking of some kind of dreams I was doing, and I'd like to say it here as well. One of the dreams I was doing, daydreaming. I like daydreaming. Was I was thinking as if I am a very famous person and someone is interviewing me. How did you overcome these challenges? And back then I was thinking, okay, in my 12 years time life, I have gone through these and things are just getting realized. And when I read this, people felt so positive and they congratulated me. They said that it's very brave of you and congratulations, you did so in another language, in a group of people you have never seen. And that appreciation I got from them was, you know, the most valuable appreciation I got in my 25 years of business life, I can say.
Bravo. Canan, this is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for interesting experience of moving around 4 countries and working from HSBC Bank to becoming executive coach, England, Dubai, Azerbaijan, Turkey, and uniting all these countries together. And I hope it will help people to go global. Thank you so much. Be safe, stay safe, and thank you for your precious experience.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you for facilitating this great event today. And I'm looking forward to listening to Antonina.
Oh, yes, she's a great lady. We will start in 10 minutes. So please join. Thank you so much.
See you.
to meet you.
Nice to
Nice
meet
to meet
you.
you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to the conference. And thank you for such a lovely introduction.
Thank you, Antonina. Antonina is a real actress. She came today in the role of beautiful Chinese lady. So I think Chinese men will be very inspired, and not only Chinese. So I think it will be a tough time for Antonina's husband to watch out that she's not stolen from the conference. And the topic of Antonina's speech today, we will talk exactly about China's DNA. But since our small summit devoted to the topic Go Global, we will think what we can bring from the very deep and very wise and very deep Chinese culture, and what we can use in our turbulent time. So Antonina, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Well, today I will share with you my experience and all my knowledge which I have about China, and specifically how China handles crisis. So let me open the presentation I prepared for you. It will take me some seconds. Yes, so well, first of all, what can we learn from the Chinese in the times of crisis? I want to address, first of all, the meaning of word crisis in Chinese language. In Chinese language, crisis consists of two characters. One way means danger, and T means opportunity. So for Chinese people, every type of crisis, whether it will be economical or current situation with the pandemic, it's the time when we have an opportunity, although there is a danger for our funds or for our health. Chinese people normally have very positive response and positive approach to everything they do. So I suggest us to dive into, first of all, the Chinese psychology behind everything they do. Then we can move to what we can literally learn from China, their mentality and their approach for work, how Chinese took control over the spread of COVID in China, I will cover it shortly. How Chinese business survived in the time of crisis, the pandemic we have right now, and how the government supported the business. So there are a few pillars of Chinese psychology we can adopt. First and forward, this is positive attitude, high working efficiency, group unity, strong desire to succeeding and getting rich, and high level of adaptivity or adaptability. Talking about positive attitude, you can see this quite amusing picture how Chinese people are feeding a woman on the screen. So it's just a mixture of reality and screen, and or for example, taking tears from her eyes. They have so much jokes in their life, and whatever they do helps them to cope with any type of difficulty. There is a saying in Chinese language, 笑一笑，十年少，愁一愁，白了头, which literally means if you laugh, if you have positive attitude, you will be younger, 10 years younger. If you frown, you will prematurely get white hair, so you will get old. The positive attitude in China actually connected to Chinese medicine, because Chinese people believe that it will bring us longevity. We can manage any circumstances more effectively if we have a positive attitude, and it helps all our organs work much better. So next one, this is also a joke, one of the Chinese memes. They have very good work efficiency. This is a picture of how the building of Wuhan clinic started. You might know that in Wuhan, at the beginning of COVID, they didn't have enough beds. So the government decided to hire a government building company to create the clinic in 10 days for 1,000 beds. So this is how it looked at the beginning. They were just preparing the ground, and this is how the clinic looked upon completion. So it just shows how China can use all their forces in one direction, and how within a short amount of time they can get the result. And this shows how efficient they are. And their unity. In Chinese culture, it also belongs to Confucius' belief. It is important for people to get together and to unite towards one goal. So individual in China doesn't have that much value. He has to be supported by the group. Of course, they have leaders. Of course, they have people who manage small groups, but they are nobody without the support of social groups, of colleagues and other small groups, clan, as we say. This is also about family. Family values are very strong in China, and family usually includes 3 generations and mutual respect between them. Next thing is getting rich. You can see this poster from Insanely Rich Asians movie. It's a Singaporean movie, but it also reflects how Chinese people value them. They appreciate being rich, and they all want to get to that level where they can afford anything they want. And of course, their contemporary Chinese own the things their parents or their grandparents didn't even dream of, because economical development is very steady, and they have straightened and will straighten middle class. So Chinese people value money, and it doesn't have any negative connotation in their mentality. One of the last things I want to mention in Chinese psychology is their high adaptability. In this case, it's technology. Even in Dubai, there is one Chinese newspaper, one of the oldest one, which is called Dubaier. And the editor-in-chief, Mao Yimin, often writes in his blog post that Chinese people who live in Dubai or any other city abroad, normally before going to their country once in 3 months, once in half a year, they have to learn all the new apps which became common during these 3 months or half a year, or get alone 1 year. So Chinese people have naturally this high adaptability to technology, to swiftly changing and rapidly developing country. So they have to develop it because they have high level of competition in the country, and also because the technological development is very high. I believe the highest in the world right now. And of course, I want to share with you this famous quote of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba: "If you don't give up, you still have a chance. Giving up is the greatest failure." I fully support it, and we also hear the same sentence, maybe not in the same words, from other successful people, from sportsmen to businessmen. Giving up, and his life proves it, as he failed many times, will not give you anything, because if you continue, at least you have a chance, and if you don't, all the roads will be closed. So how China took control over COVID? I will not stop too much on this topic. I will just briefly share with you the basic information and facts, but I believe as still in many countries COVID is not under control, we can take it into account and maybe learn something from China. Wuhan quarantine started in 23rd of January up until the 8th of April. During this time, they had very strict rules on which were followed by everyone. If they were not, they would be fined or even taken to prison if they really broke some heavy rules. They built a new clinic, as I showed you the picture, Huo Shenshan Clinic in Wuhan. It took them only 10 days to build it, which breaks any believable and unbelievable record. They had provided full protection to the doctors. The doctors who worked in Wuhan had up to 10 level of protection. It's not only some mask or one protective, I call it mignon costume. It's several levels of gloves and costume, and one more costume, and one mask closer to the body, and another one over the hood. So they had full protection, which is why they have extremely low rate of infection for the doctors themselves. They had set obligatory rules which everybody had to follow, nonetheless their social status or their nationality. And they took control over fake news, which is very common in any type of crisis. Let it be whether it's a revolution, as we see some of them in several regions in the Middle East, or it's some political powers playing against each other. China has it under control. So naturally, this gonna happen. Many fake news will start spreading all over CHINET, Chinese internet. So they created an official unified website. You can see the screenshot of it at the right side of the screen, where you can track all the numbers and the cases. In this case, it's 26 of May numbers, and it has also an English version, so it shows globally how many cases are right now in the world. So everyone in the world can use this website and track the data. Last but not least is introduction of anti-pandemic health kit. It's basically a QR code based on WeChat, which is Chinese social media and a messenger paying system mini program to control the spread of disease. What is this code about? Whether you are a foreigner or a Chinese, when you enter any place, a public transportation, or you go to an office, or you go to school, kindergarten as a parent, supermarket, mall, you have to scan this code, and they will check whether it's green, yellow, or red. If it's green, you are allowed to enter. If it's yellow, it means that you have to follow 2 weeks quarantine at home, and only after that it will become green and you are free to move all around the city. And if it's red, you are obliged to take quarantine in the clinic. This is a way to control the communication within people, because the system is AI based. It's checking whether you had contact or you've been to a cafe with somebody who already had COVID, and then maybe you also have it, so you are better to be quarantinated. Altogether, it helped China to take COVID under control. And even though we can see some news where you see appearance of 60 and more cases in Beijing and other cities, China now takes it under control and very strictly. That's why it limits the spread all over the country. What are the activities were adopted by the business during COVID in China? Chinese brands suffered as much as any other brands. First of all, it's airlines and hotel sector and restaurants. But because Chinese society right now is very digitalized, they managed to shift even faster to this digital format and operate very efficiently. Take an example with one brand of hotels. The general manager of the hotel chain went to Sanya, which is a southern island in China, and he went to the most expensive room in this most luxurious hotel within the chain, and he made a live stream. So live stream became, as people spend much more time online, it became one of the ways to attract customers, to maintain connection with them. And of course, everybody want to see, as they were staying at home for too long, what is it like, the life outside their house. They virtually traveled to that room, virtually traveled to Sanya and checked all the facilities. And taking into account that the general manager himself did the presentation, it is much more attractive that he has this touch, personal touch of the brand with the possible customers. Many of the activities became digital. Brands used the new way to market their products. Business followed the trends which satisfied needs of the customers during the COVID. Give you an example. Most of the companies worked from home, and for ladies it was very difficult to wake up every day in the morning and do the makeup or doing their hair, washing their hair, because there was too much work to do and they had too much pressure. So one of the popular products during COVID, surprisingly, was wigs. A wig which girls were wearing instead of grooming themselves and washing their hair. Or some of the companies developed a filter which helps the girl to look nice even though she was not wearing any makeup. Or delivery companies who were, in China it is very common that delivery companies operate within 1 hour. They can pick up documents, they can pick up some products, and they change the model into delivering any product very fast, within 1 hour in city area. So all of these products and all of these services boomed during the COVID. As well as all the companies and restaurants who shifted totally to digital format. They were either using small areas where they could leave the order. You go outside and pick it up from a small box, or they do the delivery to home. For the security reasons and for the protecting each other's health, they were not allowed to enter the house, but they were leaving it at the entrance, and then when you go out, it's a contactless way of delivering food, groceries, and so on. And as I mentioned before, brands were investing into live stream, not only Chinese, but also the foreigner brands. Let's have a look at the next slide. Government also supported about live streams. I want to take a remark and one study case. Land Rover launched 30-hour live stream, which reached 50 million views. This is something unbelievable. It's like 1.5 Ukraine popularity watched this stream, and it has a press conference with the CEO of Land Rover, key opinion leaders, famous influencers. Like it was entertaining, engaging. People didn't get bored, but the amount of views is just shocking. I believe that we as foreign businesses, as people who live abroad, whether for personal reason or for business reason, can also learn it from China and adopt these ways of engaging with our audience via live stream. It's not purely entertainment. In China shows that it helps us to maintain the relationship and build new relationships with our customers. Interesting fact about China during the pandemic is that government decided to support businesses and people at the same time by not giving them the money to people directly, because in China, if they get money in cash or via wire transfer, they will save it. This is one of the ways to deal with money in China. But they decided to support businesses and people via e-vouchers. That means you can use that e-voucher only if you go to cafe and redeem it, or you buy it on something online and redeem the certain amount of money or a discount. It also helped both ways. People were bored at home and they wanted to spend more because some of their spendings were lessened, for example, transportation or eating outside. And at the same time, businesses suffer it, and they need this input from customers, and government decided to satisfy them both via vouchers. One interesting fact, more than $71 million were given to citizens in form of these coupons, and at the same time in order to support the businesses. This is basically what I wanted to share with you. My presentation is not so long, and I'm happy to answer all the questions that Olga might have.
Antonina, thank you so much. I am amazed by your presentation. I'm amazed.
Thank you so much.
It was very interesting. And you told us not to give up, as Jack Ma said, but unfortunately your presentation made me give up. Because give up because I think sooner or later all of us will be conquered by China. By the way, how they prepared few times during this presentation, I was completely shocked. And I want to go through one. Maybe I'm a very emotional person, but this presentation really shocked me. So number one, that I was shocked. Of course, this Wuhan hospital that was built in 10 days. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine. Till now, I'm speechless. I cannot imagine how it can be done. What do you think? What is the secret? How they did it so quickly?
First of all, China has very efficient management. Even though they have such a big population, it will not work out without wise management. And if you remember in my book, I always say wise government. And I don't have any sarcasm in it because I believe it is so. They have management, good, wise management in the government and in business sector. So those people manage to organize the resources they have. Of course, China has a big amount of population and engineers, workers. This is huge for 1,000 beds, just enormous amount of resources you need to consolidate and make them operate. So first of all, it's management. Second, they have resources. Third, they have very close relationship between government and government companies. And whatever government say, they have to do, and they do it really fast.
Incredible, just incredible. I think still few days I will think about this, Antonina. I don't think I can forget about it very quickly because it shocked me. The second one, I was shocked by this amount of money, $71 million to help people and to help businesses. This is so wise. This is so smart. This is so encouraging. It shows that, yes, we have crisis, but we help you people and we help you businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's incredible. It shows how much they care. Okay, I want to ask you this question. And number three that shocked me again, it's about these wigs. I think this is so creative to wear the wigs if you cannot make this hair. So I think Chinese also have sense of humor. So tell me about sense of humor in China. What is their sense of humor?
As you might know, this is not about humor. This is practicality. You see, Chinese people do not have much complexes, which is why you can see the lady who is using these baby filters, maybe whiskers of a cat and eyes and very slimming filter for the face. Or you can see people who are of older generation gather in the parks and dance. They can adopt salsa, they can adopt break dance if they want to. They really don't have any psychological barriers and nothing stops them in their mind. That's why they have this golden age after going to pension where they can try things, they can explore. And even the social media is booming with those influencers 70 plus, 80 plus, who are sharing outfits, who are giving you some advices on how you have to dress up as a gentleman or a lady of this age, skincare, fitness, nutrition. They all share these topics, art. They do videos. Every second old lady in China is a live streamer. So I think they have sense of humor as well. And right now, all this humor goes to Chinese internet, because they have lots of memes. Those memes appear every half a year, every year, and many of them. Of course, there are some. It depends on what some media person said, and they pick it up and create a funny joke about it. So it's very understandable. I think there is nothing sophisticated about Chinese humor. It's pretty international. You just need to dig into the origin of the joke.
Tell me, please, why do you think these live streams that you said, okay, it's from Range Rover, it's not from China?
Yeah.
But what is the reason why it's became, you said it's 50 million people who watched it?
Yes, 50 million people watched that stream.
What is your impression? What is the secret of that popularity?
First of all, it's pandemic, because people spend much more time online. Secondly, Chinese people are much used to watching live streams. You might saw on Instagram when you checked it since the mid of March that whatever in the evening you open your stories, maybe 20 of them while you scroll are live streams. In pandemic, it also was at peak in Instagram all over the world. So for China, this is nothing new. They have these streams for many years now, and people just like to watch it because it gives you the feeling of engagement with the brand, with a famous person in the stream, with somebody you like, an idol or influencer. That's why they have that culture of watching streams. And of course, Chinese population is so big. That's why 50 million, not so much for them.
This is very interesting. What do you think? You said that in Chinese culture, they like to have money, and it's not shameful to have money. Like, unfortunately, in Russian culture, very often we say, if it's a good person, a good person cannot be rich, or we have some proverbs that show, if you have money, you're not that good person. And of course, it's with the blood of the mother, we say somehow it's implemented in us, and it's not that good to say you're rich and whatever. Why Chinese, they are very respectful to money, and why it's good to be rich in China?
I will not dig too much into Buddhism, but I think there is one sanity in deity in Buddhism who actually connected to money, and he's always laughing, and he's surrounded with coins. So I think it partially originates there. Another reason, China had different level in the history, especially in 20th century. There was a poverty. You can also think of Chinese people who are going to US and start their life and building that railway, the longest railway those times, beginning of at the end of 19th century, beginning of 20th century. Chinese people had different periods, they experienced it. So right now the generation doesn't feel anything wrong about having money. They wanted, they are working hard. They didn't have any negative connotation of having money. Even during Cultural Revolution, it was negativity towards West, not towards money itself. Of course, there was more communistic views. Everybody had to be the same, but it was the generation which is aging now, and they are also open-minded, and they understand that money can give them lots of tools to manage their life in a better way. So they are, first of all, careful about spending money which is why, knowing this particular peculiarity, Chinese government didn't give them cash or didn't wire money, give vouchers, which push them for spending. Second of all, they like to collect and invest. They're really good at investing. And third, they also have this face notion, which again make them buy luxury items and showing how much money they have. Not for everyone, but it's also quite common. There is nothing wrong about it. I don't know, maybe they have different history than us. We didn't have any offensive, they didn't have any offensive words in 70s and 80s for businessmen.
So Antonina, you know, since today's presentation was so rich and inspiring, and you look like a beautiful Chinese lady, what are the drawbacks? What are the weak points of Chinese? At least I want to know. Oh, everything is perfect. What do you think? What is their weak point?
Well, you know, there is a meeting of two main powers in China. It's I cannot tell you the English name. In Chinese, it's Liang Hui. It happens every March. So it's a political meeting where Li Keqiang, the Prime Minister of China, giving a speech, and he highlights what has been done, what has to be done in the next year, upcoming year. And I remember every year he's strengthening a point that we still have to fight with poverty, because in China, it's still a problem. You can see the Chinese who are coming to Dubai or to Italy and France, they are buying, they are queuing for buying luxury items. And at the same time, you have people who, maybe children, don't have an egg and a glass of milk for the breakfast in some rural areas or somewhere in remote villages in the mountains. I remember that when I lived in China in 2011, there was one charity promotion in KFC. Whatever you buy something, they offer you to spend 1 yuan more, so you can invest into children in the rural area to have 1 egg and 1 glass of milk in the morning. So China still have that problem. Education is getting better and better, and many Chinese, in comparison to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, get the education. But this is such a huge multinational country. Of course, not everything is perfect, and they have lots of things to work on. But the thing is, they are working, and they have a plan to follow, which they are following for the past 30, 40 years.
That is great to know, and it's good that they understand what is their weak point and they try to overcome it, which is the most important. And since you look that special today, I want you finish with some sorry, you see, I have
Japanese is coming.
I'm so sorry, you know, Japanese. Sorry, with Chinese. I like when you speak Chinese. Tell us something in Chinese, what you can tell all our audience.
OK， 谢谢各位的关注，我非常感谢 Olga 女士今天邀请我参与这个商务会议。我也希望你们呢从我的介绍更加了解中国，更加喜欢这个美丽的国家。
Oh, 谢谢 Antonina.
不客气。
What I think you said that you were today with us at the you know, a small summit, Go Global, and it was very good. And Antonina, I want to thank you very much. It was very inspiring and beautiful, and we learned a lot about China, but it's not only about China. It's about us and about how to go global, how to be open, how not to give up. And if your hair is very dirty, use wig. Don't sit in the house. With the nice wig from China, you can still do it. Don't give up, as Jack Ma said. So I would like to tell everybody thank you for our summit, and special thank you to Antonina, because it was a great time and a very nice learning experience. Xie. Thank you so much. Pleasure to see you today. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.